All right, what's going on, everybody? TCH Live coming at you here on this fine Wednesday evening. It is the 1st of January. That means brand new year, 2025 now, fully in swing. And a couple of these players, well, all of these players, honestly, that are at the final table here are going to be starting off the year with a nice chunk of change to bring home. I'm Aaron McAvoy, hanging out down here in Austin, calling the shots. And with me, as always, Mr. Eric Van Loosen up there in Dallas. What's going on, my man?
Not a whole lot, man. Just excited to see this New Year's Bang final table. We've been talking about it for weeks now, and here it is. And man, I knew we were going to have a big first place prize, but 100,570 for first place. What a way to start off a new year.
Dude, absolutely. And even our 9th place finisher are going to be going home $10,200 in the pocket as well.
That's
so
right.
Not too bad for a $500 buy-in. That is for sure. So yeah, we're just about to get things going. We had a small chip color up here to get things all caught up and ready to go. We'll take a look at the player stacks here at the bottom of your screen there. Kansas in the 7th seed, coming in as the overwhelming chip leader, 11.5 million. Down at the bottom, Vicente, just a smidge over 3 big blinds. So gonna need to spin things up real quick. Everybody else is at least moderately healthy. We're talking like 15 blinds plus. But as is the usual when we get into these sorts of situations, ICM plays a big role, and the big stacks can do a lot of damage while there are these micro stacks in play. All right, first hand, Vicente here under the gun, looks down at 2 5s of all the hands he's going to look at. That is a pretty darn good one for his 3 big blinds, and he is going to put it in there. Does leave 75K behind, I suppose, in case a whole lot of crazy action goes down and like some big stacks are actually all in against each other. He could presume that his hand is worthy of a fold, but yeah, those remaining 75K will be in the middle here before you know it, as GP on the button looks down at a couple of jacks and will almost certainly be raising this up.
All in.
Does indeed. Goes for the all-in sizing as well. Doesn't even have 20 big blinds, so it makes perfect sense. And hand number 1, we've got an all-in and a call. Vicente here going to need to find a 5 or other good stuff. And we are just going to rip out the flop, turn, and river, and Vicente here doesn't make it past hand number 1, but does go out the door with $10,000. Or $10,200.
Yeah, nice score there for Vicente. Multi-day tournament. Nice to go home with a 5-figure score there off of a $500 buy-in. Johnny doing his best at getting this sucker going right off the bat, first hand.
Yeah, no kidding. And now things should settle in a little bit. I mean, of course, you never know. It is Texas, so we love to play fast. But yeah, we've got, you know, a nice $2,700 pay jump here right off the bat. And now the shortest stack is going to be like 15 big blinds. Jedi Master Ted says, it sounds like I'm talking into a cup. Okay, well, I moved the microphone a little closer to my mouth. Let me know if I need to make any other adjustment.
Yeah, we had a lot of fans join in the chat before we even started. So shout out to all those friends, like Kansas there in our 7th seed has a ton of fans. So we didn't miss all those comments. Those were just way before we got started, so hard to go back through all of those. But a lot of fans for our boy there wearing that chip leader shirt. He is the chip leader indeed, going by Kansas today. So a lot of fans watching him.
Lee here, the I think 3rd largest stack, opening from +1 into the chip leader in the big blind. Kansas will make the call, and heads up to its flop we go. Paired board 2-tone. This is a board that can definitely interact with the big blind's calling range. See how Lee progresses here. 1.4 million roughly in the middle, and 2 overcards, no club. Definitely the kind of hand where you can continue, and if your opponent raises, just totally let it go. And that is the option Lee settles on. No resistance, he'll take it down.
All right, we'll talk a little bit more about these players. We got such a quick start there. Our boy Johnny Rodriguez is dealing tonight. He deals quite a bit of these final tables. I know I see a regular there, Mr. Lego, in our 5-seat wearing his Astros crazy green jersey tonight. He's always a big tournament player, plays all across the state, and a lot of fun always in the chat, so shout out to Lego. And we've got Harvey Castro's little brother, Mr. Zach Castro. His whole family is in the chat already, rooting on him. And our On Tilt boys rooting on Mr. Z World. That is Zach Castro.
Yeah, welcome in, everybody. Fantastic turnout in this tournament, and a fantastic lineup here for the final table, that is to be sure. Looks to Zachary in the cutoff, starting the hand with a right around 15 big blinds, seemingly giving it some thought with the King 8-0, does decide to let that one go. Yeah, you've got the chip leader in the small blind. It's just kind of nasty there. I mean, certainly if it folds to you on the button, you're going to feel pretty emboldened to open with, you know, sort of the King 8 type holdings, but having that guy there in the small blind always feels bad.
So he's back in. Raised to 800. Suju, can you tell Donovan to start the clock for me, please? Hold.
Nice hand there for Kansas. Seat 8 there is a regular on our final tables, going by Nabat. Normally that's Mo. We know him as Mo around the room. Our seat 9 is going by Lee. Trung P in the 1 seat. Demi in the 2. Got a lot of fans. And of course GP in the 3 seat. So going to be a fun final table here. Somebody going home with over $100,000 to start off their new year.
Raise 550 is a bet. Fold.
All right, I refreshed my browser. We'll see if I sound any better there. What do you think?
So far, so good, AA Ron.
Okay, excellent. Well, hopefully that cleared things up. As yeah, you never know. The gremlins get into the electronics and goof things up every other week.
Shout out to some more regulars. We got Jedi Master in the chat. Steven, Mr. Delivery, what's going on, brother?
Trung here getting pretty frisky with an under the gun open here, King 10-0. And he's going to get that one through, picking up the blinds and antes that he will get to pay into the pot just now. So once again, looking at the chip stacks there, Nabat is the short stack here, right around, I'd guess, 14 big blinds. And at the table that are roughly in the same ballpark for chips, and 14 big blinds is not going to just sort of dwindle in an orbit or two, so you've got plenty of time to wait for a good spot. All of those players will be feeling, you know, roughly the same amount of pressure to accumulate chips and make some distance between their brethren. GP here gonna do his best to pick up some chips. Ace King in the +1 spot. All right, glad that you guys can hear me better. Sorry about that to start things off, but I'm glad that we're all sorted out. Jedi, I will come back to your question here in just a little bit. As Nabat on the button, Queen Jack suited. Definitely a spot that feels like you want to see some cards, but yeah, the discipline to hold that one against the +1 open. Just made it through the blinds, doesn't need to put himself in a difficult situation. The next ladder up is going to be just about $4,000 as GP will take that one down. Okay, so the question that Jedi asked here, what about the assertion that face covering and sunglasses should be banned? I mean, let's be fair, right? Like, there was a time in the not-so-distant past, before COVID, where it was pretty unusual for someone to wear anything more than sunglasses at the table. And we just didn't really have to worry about that much. I don't think you ever really saw on a regular basis like people completely covering their whole face and really just kind of getting a little bit carried away with it. Now, post-COVID, of course, it runs the gamut from people just wearing a mask to actually covering every inch of their face. I think it's a fair discussion point to have, and I don't think it's like totally out of line to think that there's a world where there's some regulation on it. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit like up to the player what they want to do. And certainly wearing sunglasses, like, I don't know if that's really such a big deal. But to each their own. I think it's good to me. Anyways, we got some hands crashing into each other here. What do you think?
We do, and I'm liking some of these early stare downs we got. Speaking of guys wearing sunglasses and kind of the old school stare down. We got Kansas kind of staring down his opponents, and seed 8 was kind of staring back a little bit. So enjoying this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lee here looking at 2 red 10s on the button, going to make the call here. A lot of people will look at this as a spot to raise, and I think it's wise to just call against the chip leaders open. 10s are strong, but definitely vulnerable. And Trung just going to wake up with it here in the small blind. 2 kings. What a spot.
Big time spot here. See how big he goes.
Raise 2 million.
2 mil.
Yeah, nice size, I think. Could have even gone a little bit smaller. It sounds a little bit crazy, but just there's no depth here, right? I mean, the 500K getting called, already swelling the pot to 1.5 million. And Trung, sort of the effective stack here, starting the hand with under 30 bigs. But does make it 4x the original open. Ace-Jack is in the muck, and now back over to Lee here, who has sort of like under-repped his hand, but this feels pretty uncomfortable. I mean, you hate to just like call and then fold 10s. It feels really nitty, especially on the button, but Lee is going to do it, and I think wisely so. I mean, he's got plenty of shorter stacks out there, and just doesn't need to expose himself to a lot of danger here. Gets away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great fold there. Of course, we get to see the cards, but it's just going to pick a better spot. Like you said, no need to battle some of those big boys and risk your whole tourney right there. Tough to get away from 10s, though.
It certainly is. But I mean, let's look at Lee's spot there, right? He was, before he put the 500K out there, he was sort of tied for third in the chip counts. Third place is 47,000. Now, obviously, it's not like a one-to-one translation of where you're standing versus what you can expect to get paid. But third place is 47,000, and the next person that goes out is getting a little under 13. That is a 4x difference. Like, going broke right now when there are 5 players shorter than him would feel really, really bad. It would feel really bad. So I think it makes sense to, tighten it up. Certainly ICM, if you you look under the hood on some of the solver outputs, you'll see some very tight play.
Zach Castro in a spot here. He's waking up with the 2 8s, the snowmen, and really put some thought into what he wanted to do and just decided he didn't like his options and let it go.
8s there, to me, are a little bit too strong to fold. He is going to dodge just the full-blown nastiness.
Genius play, Aaron. Genius play.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you give me 15 blinds in pocket eights, I think I'm opening under the gun. Not just like stuffing it, but, you know, 2x open and, you know, hoping that you just get folds all the way down the line, or at least ISO against the big blind. But, wow, he just folds the eights.
And the bot waking up with those ladies there. All the eights were accounted for, so indeed, Zach, Spidey senses were well aware that your eights were no good. He gets out of there, dodges some bullets there.
Daily resolution given a throwback to Phil Locke pulling his hoodie all the way up over his head. Yeah, he was a very special character, right? Like,
he was.
You didn't have. There's also that one that Euro guy that, you know, sort of has the big hoodie thing and pulls it all the way up over his face. Does some ridiculous stuff like tanking all the time or whatever. But that's just not like the norm, right? Back to the hand here. GP goes for the 3-bet out of the big blind, it looks like, and is now facing this jam.
2,950,000 in total, right?
And yeah, if you're GP, oof. I mean, I understand wanting to kind of put your foot down a little bit sometimes, but I don't think against a hijack open.
Yeah, we like seeing these guys mix it up a little bit, but kind of put himself in a pickle there.
Call us, see the hands, please.
Mark Schlereth. Okay, I'll take it. Just don't call me Big Stink. Guy was known to pee himself in the Broncos uniforms.
All right, so GP does price himself in, makes the call, and needs to find an ace and a 7 here on the flop, and now
Consolation 7.
Needs a queen real bad.
Wow.
Ouch.
Exactly, Steven. I mean, it's just all that action behind you. Maybe an open, you know, dead on there. No reason to get jam happy. Just waking up with a pair there. So GP made a little play and got punished with it, but got rewarded big time and knocks out Nabat in the 8th seed. So Nabat is going to be eliminated. Great showing for him. He's made a lot of final tables. And what's he taking home there, Aaron?
$12,900. So nice little $2,700 ladder up on hand number 1. Just a bit of a tough spot there, as you know, you can't really do much better than get all your money in free with queens against one overcard. Just an unfortunate run out. And the next player to have an unfortunate run out is going to be taking home $16,600. Yeah, Steven. I mean, the 8-8, right? It's definitely on like the cusp of your opening range. Like, you don't really want to be opening anything smaller than that. But if you're holding all the way up to like 9s or 10s plus, like, you're just not going to have a lot of strength. Anyways, yeah, and you're just talking about just like what can happen from the rest of your opponents. Like, folding just makes money, right? Absolutely right.
Yeah, the next pay jump. It's a $6,000 difference from 9th place, so these pay jumps are about to start getting real.
Jimmy here opening the button with the very disconnected king deuce. Oh, GP fresh off the elimination is going to flat.
He's all in.
And here goes Zach. He's like, nah, I think I've just got the best hand here almost always. And like, obviously Dimmy can have some better hands, but GP here very capped, sliding from the small blind. Perhaps going to mix in some traps from time to time, but usually not.
All right, Z-World. Zach is all in, though, with the king-queen off.
Zach gets it through, and that is a really nice pickup.
Absolutely. Lego is now going to be our shorty there in the seat 5. Still has 3.3 million though.
250 together.
Yeah, and I don't know where we're at as far as the next level up. Coming into the final table at 250K big blind. At some point in the not so distant future, we will be leveling up 300K level, and that will take a little bit of depth off of some of these short stacks.
If your stake is good enough, JD, you don't need A1 or Heinz 57, my friend.
Yeah, if your stake needs those, then all right, Kansas really opening it up here under the gun with the 9-6 offsuit. This is pretty spicy.
Yeah, putting pressure on these smaller stacks.
Yeah, Lego here, I believe the shortest stack at the moment in the big blind, so everybody else just kind of has to get out of the way and let the chip leader do his thing. Jack 10 of diamonds, certainly good enough to defend. Lego will peel off a flop, but that is not what he had in mind.
Okay.
One big blind continue here from Kansas. And, you never want to just be like in this spot as Lego and just holding to a single blind, but what else are you going to do? You just have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had the one-day tournament also going on today. It was a, what was the guarantee on the sucker? I think it was a 50K guarantee today, and we ended up smashing that as well. So there's still another tournament going on out there. It was a $250 buy-in, $14,000 up top. So just really awesome way to finish the year and start this new year, obviously, with more tournament poker. And, of course, we've got the Trailblazer Tour coming to Dallas at the end of the month. There it is. $1 million guarantee and a 400K guarantee. So get your tournament pants on, folks. We are not done with these big tournaments in the month of January.
Yeah, just getting started here. Pretty incredible stuff. Oops, sorry. A little trigger happy with the graphics. All right, so yeah, big tournaments coming up, and the winner of this one going to be feeling pretty good. $100,000 plus first in this one.
Raise 850.
GP here, not going to toy with the small open, goes for the over 3x open against the big blind, who is the chip leader. And I've seen some outputs that I don't know about this size, but certainly, you know, advocate for a slightly larger open given that exact dynamic. But wow, over 3x, fantastic. Love to see some new strategies or some, you know, some stuff that you don't normally see being implemented. And really getting the impression here that these guys at this table here tonight have some experience and know how to navigate their spots. Trung definitely going to be a very experienced player.
Absolutely.
I've played with that man many times, and I'm not surprised to see him here at another final table.
The structure coming out for that Trailblazer should be within a week or so. I know they usually get it out about a week or two before the actual event rolls off, so probably a couple weeks there, Rebel Poker, and that'll be out.
We're in around to Lego, 10 bigs now. on the button. But yeah, no reason to get frisky with the 5 high. Just paid your dues going through the blinds.
How many greens do you have?
Time to wait and see something better than that. So you took a shot in this one.
I took a couple of swing and misses at this. Had a fun time, but yeah, did not make day 2. So congrats to everybody that made the money. Day 2, you're automatically in the money, and of course they played down to this final table yesterday, and the big boys are what's left here on this final table, and they are playing for some big boy and big girl money on day 1 of 2025. So this is exciting stuff. Speaking of, Lee gonna jammy jam right into Kansas, and quick fold there from the small blind.
Do you know how late they played last night to get down to 9?
I do not. Do not know how late it went last night. Anybody in the chat was here hanging around or sweating your buddy? Let us know around what time they finished last night.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you do have a day 3, you know, with the final table or whatnot. And, you know, sometimes it'll end up like closing out a little bit early. It'll be like 10:30 and you're all kind of looking around and be like, oh, I guess we just like go home now and play tomorrow. Other times, you know, it'll be like 2 in the morning and everyone's just like exhausted and ready for the day to end. And it has a very different sort of effect as far as the dynamic of, you know, how the players are feeling, not just at the end of the night, but also going into the next day, right? You carry all that adrenaline home with you, try to get some rest, and sometimes it's not so easy. And even with this kicking off here at about 7:40 Central Time, definitely should have some foggy brains.
There's our answer, 2 a.m., 2:10 last night, or this morning.
Right. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you, Skylar.
All right, open and a fold. GP going to pick up some more chips, closing in on the 10 million mark. And really not that big a separation now between Kansas, GP, and even Trung, as Lego far and away the shortest stack down right at about 10 big blinds.
Yeah, Lego got a lot of friends and family in the chat. Some of our other regulars here that play with him in all of his weekly tournaments. Jim Coyle out there rooting on Lego. That's a great tournament crusher. Of course, it's always nice when you got Harvey Castro sweating you, Zach's brother, right behind him there, sweating little bro. Love seeing it.
Raise 500.
Another situation where Lee has a strong hand up against the chip leader open.
Raise all in.
And he's going to stuff it once more. This time not just button versus blind, but button versus cutoff.
There we go.
And Kansas is going to be a little bit irked and irritated by this, right? Because like he's supposed to just get to push the action, and I mean, he knows that Lee is just waking up with hands. Like there's just no two ways about it. Lee is never just going to like pick on the chip leader here. But yeah, it's sort of frustrating when you sit down at a final table with a pretty sizable chip advantage and like try to do what chip leaders do, and somehow everybody just always has a hand and is like 3-bet jamming on you. Like that feels annoying.
Call that the old Kansas stare down.
I don't imagine that we'll see Kansas slow down with the plays, though. At least when he's able to open into these smaller stacks and doesn't have the other big stacks in the blinds, because you know, he really just doesn't have an incentive to stop doing what he's doing. It's just supposed to work at a little bit higher frequency than it is right now. As it stands, we are going to have Lego open, non-all-in off of 10 big blinds from the low jack. And GP contemplating what to do with the 10-8 offsuit. And he's just going to let it go. I mean, Lego has like a really strong looking range there.
Absolutely.
And I love it. Let's go.
Doesn't have to put his whole stack in and takes down the blinds. Love seeing that. Rebel Poker with a question saying, does TCH partner with any hotels? I know we do here. I imagine you guys do there as well when you have big events. I would always call the club. I know we've had a flyer up at the front podium, basically advertising that very thing. So when we have these big tournaments, they always try to partner up with some of the local hotels. That way the players can get a little bit better deal, better rate. So definitely call and just ask the whoever the floor staff is, and they will get you that info.
Raise to 500.
Yeah, for sure. Always a good thing to have in your back pocket there. A little rebate coming into town. True to form, Kansas still foot on the gas. And Zachary here with an interesting decision now in the big blind. He is one of the shortest stacks, but is not in quite as much danger as Lego, who will be in the blind next hand.
He's not privy to that same information you and I are. We get to see the hands that Kansas has been opening with. Very wide range. But
yeah,
7 can very easily be dominated by a lot of hands.
Well, Kansas, while he hasn't shown his cards, has definitely just been opening at a very high frequency, right? I mean, I think he'd be pipping at like 80% or something, only folding when the pot is unopened in front of him. And so I think you can have a pretty good idea that like King 7, while it's not an amazing hand, is probably doing pretty well against his range. It's really just about whether or not you want to play a pot out of position against the chip leader with a hand that's just not going to flop well, right? Like you can't just like flop some good gut shots using both of your cards. Like you just
not suited.
You don't have. Yeah, like at best you're hoping for like top pair, second pair type holdings, and that's just going to be really uncomfortable to play from out of position. You're just going to kind of have to like play it fast, but almost blind, and that's not really a winning strategy. If you connect, that is on the flop. You're just going to have to kind of play it fast.
GP going to open up the button here with an ace and a Jack Links mystery card, making it 550. Zachary going to let go of that Queen 9. Back to Lego in the big blind. Yeah, nice takedown. We had a question there from Call Me 2022. Might need to update that name. It's now 2025. But the buy-in was $500 for this sucker, and there were 1,508 entries. $633,000 prize pool. So ended up blowing out the guarantee. It was a $500,000 guarantee. Added another 133K to that. So really great job by Donovan and all of our tournament directors here that put these big tourneys together, making sure we crushed that guarantee. CK, thank you for the kind words. We're always trying to get better here, so appreciate you giving us a shout out. Shout out to y'all for keeping it fun in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And plenty more big final table live stream will be coming at you here in the coming months. Kansas here are going to get a count as he looks down at a small pair in the big blind facing the jam from Lego. And yeah, I think anything over deuces is pretty much a snap call, and even deuces are probably just going to be a call. Lego here all in and at risk, needs to find an ace or some sort of funky straight or flush. Down to just an ace now.
No ace from space for our boy Lego. Shout out to him. He's always hanging out with us in the chat and always at our TCH tournaments all across the state, really. So great showing there, Mr. Lego, taking home $16,600. Nice hit there, Lego, and we know we'll see you again, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on the deep run here. Sorry to see you go in 7th place, but taking home $16,600 for your efforts. Fantastic showing. And the next player going out, almost a 5K pay jump over 7th place. Going to be up to 2 stacks of high society here, $21,350.
That's right. Steven dropping that ladder. These players are enjoying that big ladder you just mentioned there. And the ladder just continues to climb. That first place winner is going home with a 6-figure score. Can't wait to see who finishes out crushing this final table.
Yeah, a nice little bit of momentum there for Kansas, getting the elimination and separating himself from his nearest competitors a little bit more. As the stacks had kind of started to flatten out a little bit at the top 3 positions. And now he'll feel much more emboldened to continue the strategy of sort of abusing the middling stacks. Gimme now the shortest, Zachary not too far behind, and I believe we're not too far away from a ladder, or excuse me, a level up to the 300 big blind level. But for right now, both players, Zachary and Dimmy, basically on 15 bigs.
Very appropriate song playing in the background. We're halfway there, Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
Absolutely. GP, a real believer in the ace 7-0. Gonna open it from the hijack this time. Back here now, one of those shortest stacks. But working with 16 big blinds here. Doesn't quite need to dip all the way down to ace-9-0. Ace-9 suited, perhaps, finds its way into a jamming range at a small frequency, but I'm not even sure about that. All of these spots are so tricky to navigate in these high ICM environments. And unless you just like really put in the time and are just like churning through different stack sizes, you know, where am I at? Like I'm in 5 out of 6 and, you know, facing an open from under the gun and I'm in the cutoff with this, right? Like, I mean, you're just going to be flying blind in a lot of these spots. You kind of just have to do the best you can with the knowledge that you have accumulated and try not to make any big mistakes.
Absolutely. All right, shout out to Poker Views, just tuning in from Trenton, New Jersey. Let us know in the chat where you're watching from here.
Yeah, I get to see a little bit of post-flop play here as Kansas makes the call. A little bit curious that we didn't see a 3-bet there from Kansas on the button, but I think the suited wheel aces can stick around with flat from time to time.
Check.
Neither player connecting with the board. And all of the logical bluffs, King Jack, King 10, Jack 10, etc., are not really represented here. GP checks the flop. Kansas checks back. Late c-bet here now from GP, picking up the gut shot on the turn. Start to apply some pressure to pocket 8s, pocket 4s, things of that nature. And does just get the inferior ace fold on the turn.
All right, got a couple shout outs from Austin, Texas, and Wielaka, Florida. Well, Wielaka, Florida a lot over here too. Ontario.
And we also lock up the new TCH club here in Austin. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Man. The room
we
here
lock
is amazing.
a lot. All right, Poker Yay, starting a new vlog. Good luck with that venture. Y'all check him out.
That's 500. Oh, I'm sorry. 500 is a little bit.
Mouse and Linus in the house. Crushing the big game over there, I imagine, Mr. Steven.
What's that? That's up.
Check. Big blind defend here from Jimmy. Gonna flop second pair on a monotone flop. GP here. Opening UTG with the ace deuce off. Definitely seeing a little bit more, I'd say, splashiness here from GP as far as the opening range. Check, check. Now a 5 of spades on the turn. And once again, it's a delayed c-bet. This time, I'll be surprised if Dimmy just goes quietly into the night with the second pair. Does make the call, and stack to pot ratio now under 1, and it's another queen on the end. And now, Dimmy here with an easy check and call off.
Absolutely.
But instead is going to lead jam and gives GP an easy out. I mean, yeah, it makes some sense. You don't want to have your opponent ever just like check back value, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, hard to put him on complete air there.
What are you playing?
Just go with the jam and just takes it down there, and that is Dimmy there. Dimmy's from Bulgaria.
3.4.
Saw some shout outs from some of his friends and fam there, letting us know he's the Bulgarian man.
Lines will be up next time, guys. 153. Next time, guys.
Nova Scotia and Fort Myers, Florida, jumping in here. So, love seeing it. Folks from all around the country and the world tuning in.
Raise. Raise. 500.
Run for 120.
Yeah, I mean, we always, of course, have the benefit of seeing the cards, but yeah, I tend to agree. There's a little bit of consternation in the chat about how that hand was played, but I mean, it's one thing to sort of talk about ICM and theorize about it and try to understand, you know, if I play like a robot, then I should do this. But when you're actually at the table and you've been playing poker for the last, like, whatever, 48 hours, right? Who knows how these players got into day 2. They certainly played all day yesterday until what we heard was like after 2 a.m. last night. I mean, you've just been playing a crap ton of poker. Your brain is a little bit fried. Maybe or maybe not today, like try to dive into the books a little bit, do some studying, whatever. These are tough spots when you're sitting there on the felt, constantly trying to keep an update on what your opponent's stack size is and who's the short stack and where am I in the pecking order and what are the payouts, what's the next pay jump. Dude, that's a lot of information to try to process and play the game. So, you know, I think it's fair to recognize that all the optimal lines are not going to be taken at all times. So it's just the way it is.
Their hand developing here, Aaron, with Kansas under the gun, raising it up. and getting 3-bet from Lee, who's kind of already gotten under his skin a little bit. See what Kansas wants to do here.
Yeah, and this one's curious, right? It's a min click. I mean, it's not really. A min click would actually have been to 900,000, but it's very small, right? Just doubling his opponent's bet. He's representing a very strong holding, or apparently H7
2.8 million.
Raise 2.8 million.
And Kansas is going to commit himself here very nearly. I mean, maybe not. I suppose 2.8 he can actually just hold if he goes for the 5-bet jam. But I would find that sort of surprising. Indeed, though, action back over on Lee, facing a 4-bet. And we're here playing some real poker. I love this. I mean, how sick would it be if Lee just finds the 5-bet jam here?
It would be, it would be beautiful. It would be beautiful, but yeah, I mean, he picked up that maybe he was opening light a few times and woke up with some real hands and 3-bet him, but now he's 4-betting you. Are you still putting him on a really light hand? And the answer is no. He's giving him a lot of credit there. I'll lay that down.
Kansas has got a real serious mad dog, dude. Like,
he does, doesn't he?
He's 2 seats away, and he's just drilling with gold.
Where you go?
Brownstown, Indiana in the house, and Mitchell A. chiming in saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Mitchell.
So the blinds did go up before the previous hand. We are now at the 300K big blind level. And this will accelerate things for Zachary. He did just go through the blind, so he's going to have a little bit of time to find a spot, but now going to be down sub 10 big blind.
Yeah, these hands are also going to help accelerate things as we've woken up here with jacks under the gun and GP on the button with big slick, Aaron.
Yeah, this is pretty spicy. And GP has sort of not so quietly chipped up to almost 10 million and really not in that big a danger.
Ooh,
does of course, oh my goodness. I was going to say, does of course still just have to get through the big blind, but like Kansas, while he's the chip leader, doesn't just like always have to apply pressure in these spots when he looks down in garbage, but he is not looking at garbage. He's looking at 2 queens in the big blind.
Yeah, this is a highlight hand here, hand number 23. Jacks, queens, ace, king, and 2 really big stacks potentially facing off here.
So Kansas is going to play this as a call. I find this a little bit odd. He's inviting Lee to rejam or even just close the action and come in for a call. I really expected Kansas to just sort of pounce on this. And I was sort of thinking that Lee was just going to get bailed out, right? Like when this goes 3-bet, 4-bet, Lee's just going to be like, okay, I mean, my hand's awesome, but I guess I just fold. Let these 2 guys.
All in.
Yeah, big blind out of position with the queens. It's never fun, but here we go.
Yeah, and Kansas is going to get exactly what he wanted here.
The jacks are all in, and now we're getting a count. GP on the button with the big slick. Wants a count.
I mean, yeah, this hand is going to be very strange because now GP is actually getting the incentive to rejam. Kansas has under-repped his hand, right? Like Kansas should just like always have like pocket 7s or something here. No, okay, that's a little bit too light. 9s? 10s? Like,
We've got 3 other players at the table who are very invested in this hand as well.
Yeah, none more so than that young gentleman there in the 4 seat, Zachary, is like, please get all the money in and have someone win it all, specifically Kansas, who covers both Lee and GP.
All in.
Here comes the jam from GP, and back over to Kansas.
Oh, this is so sick.
And here's the thing, did he play his hand as a flat in order to induce? No, he played it as a flat because he was concerned about his opponents having the goods.
You're folding queens. He's folding queens. You're folding queens. He's got to be a strong hand. It has to be more strong hand.
Oh, strong. He's calling it. He knows what it was.
He had 10 million.
And now we're going to find out if GP...
Oh my God.
Queens are in the muck, and it doesn't even matter what that turn card is.
Doesn't even matter.
Oh, he would have scooped out.
I mean, it does matter, of course, for Lee.
I don't think I can fold. This is the spot. This is the spot with Hunter Jack yesterday.
If you're playing at a table with
same
Steven
spot with yesterday.
right,
You say queen, you're gonna call, man. Why you
That was weird though. But you know what happened there.
Yeah.
Come on, go to Donovan.
He had 10 million. He had 10 million.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the volume got a little crazy there for a second on the table, but yeah, we just saw a flat fold queen.
And then he'll be in trouble.
You'll see it on stream, I swear. I swear.
Wow.
If he just called, he's in trouble.
So let's just take stock of
I know
what
I can't believe I really had queens.
No, I believe you. All right, see you guys.
that is a
And I know you
astronomical
believe me.
pot.
I believe you, bro.
Not only
You've seen it all, man.
won by GP, because he moves into the chip, but Kansas would have all of those chips in addition to the 13 million
Come
that he's
on,
got
man.
in the
That was a
second
tough
position.
spot, bro.
Yeah. What's that?
I mean, that's crazy. All right, we'll come back to that as
Harvey, you're snapping there, huh?
Lee going out in 6th place, $21,350 for his efforts. Fantastic showing. Congratulations on the deep run, and condolences on
If he didn't have 10 million,
not
obviously, but he has 10
driving
million.
Jackson there, even after the Queens find the muff. Oh, what a beautiful spot.
If what?
Somehow doesn't work out.
If you just call, I was thinking about just folding if you call too. Yeah.
6 ways to correctly play queen
Maybe
there,
I'd
and
call.
that maybe just wasn't one of them.
I probably would call.
Oh man, not even at risk.
Count.
He's gonna get a little non-love in the chat there, and decide whether or not you think it was justified.
What do you have, Tom?
He's still alive, and I'm still here in the booth. He's still playing for 100K.
Thank you.
Man, what a spot!
Yeah.
What a spot to be in there with queens.
It's one of those things where obviously if he makes the fold and was up against aces or kings, we all like
All in.
mouths agape, like, wow, what a sick play, it's amazing, and this guy's a god, right? Instead, he folds against the ace, king, and the jacks, which are like the 2 hands that are like in the range, but are like the only hands that you beat when they do it. As we've got an all-in here, King Queen needing to improve.
That's a good turn.
Does find a turn
That's a good
out.
turn right there. That's a good turn.
Zach at risk here. Zach gonna get the double up there.
Good double.
I told you, I run better than you, brother.
You do, yeah.
Hey, you had ace nine, you jammed into my queen
You've
king
proven
yesterday.
that.
Same thing, same block, same turn.
Got a little come on there from Zach. He's excited. Just got a ladder up, and now a double up.
You remember your ace nine jamming into my queen king?
Huh?
You remember your ace nine when you said
Yeah.
Same case.
And you had king queen, yeah. Same exact, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
wild.
I know. We have to be balanced in our reporting, okay? And Kansas is still in 2nd position.
300 to go.
Good, but yes.
Yeah, well, he just doubled up a player after potentially knocking out 2. And we'll see where his stack is. GP, though, now at 16.3 million. Loving his spot here. So he's just got a commanding lead at this table. Yeah, that is a
all
hand
good
to remember.
for sure, and all great points in the chat. Yeah, no, I mean there's no way to sort of sugarcoat that, and especially after we all saw the run out, right? I mean, God, he'd have he would have like half the chips in play with 5 players remaining. Over half the chips in play, I think. Pretty incredible. Yeah, I think it would have been 30 million all told. Right after the hand, it was maybe even 31 or something. And then Trung, Zach, and Timmy have 17 between them. Yeah, 2/3 of the chips in play. Wow.
It's just insane.
We'll see. We'll see if he can just sort of put that in the rear view and continue trucking, though, right? I mean,
Not yet.
next player that goes out getting 27-3, and then there's a pretty substantial ladder up there, 8,500. So, you know, there's a lot to be played for here.
Really good program.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
I mean, it legit, like, you work through the AI. It's just like GTO Wizard, except Chance and Alex, like, break down every hand in their own words. Like, it's pretty awesome.
It's Foxen's thing?
Foxen and Chance, corner.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Trump going to take down a little one there. He's still floating around the 8 million mark. We're down to 5-handed in our New Year's Bang tournament. $100,000 first place off of a $500 buy-in. These fine gentlemen battling out. Final 5.
Yeah, Steven, I think we could debate this one all day. I definitely agree with you. I thought it was strange that we didn't get the 4-bet, which sort of started the whole thing, right? Like, how do you not 4-bet the hand and then somehow find yourself squeezed out by the rejam? Yeah, it's just wild. Anyways, here we go. On to the next. Kansas with a couple of 8s under the gun. 5-handed.
And Demi, the Bulgarian nightmare, gonna rip it. 3.5 million on the button.
Too much right there. Oh, I got one shot. $3.5 million.
Zach here, fresh off the double up. Sitting on 19 big blinds. This is a jam for about 12 from Demi. Zach here, gonna give it some thought, but yeah, I think King Queen is a pretty straightforward muff.
Calls, let's see it.
And there we go, Demi all in at risk. Backdoor diamonds. Do appear here on the turn. Ace or a diamond doesn't come.
I hate sweating all in, dude.
They both
good.
flipped.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Kansas does have 15 million in chips now after that.
And we are absolutely tearing through this final table. I mean, we started 1 hour ago. Literally went live like 58 minutes ago. And here we are, already down from 9 players to 4.
Yeah, congrats there.
27,300.
Congrats to Demi there. Absolutely. GG's, buddy.
What the hell?
27,300 for your efforts.
Snap
A lot of
ball,
fans
Jack,
in the
that
chat
means
rooting you on, so
800.
great showing, and we hope to see you back.
I'd have the tournament right now.
Dude, right?
8 is a 12-bet.
What are the people in chat saying about that one?
They're saying
Oh, just go back and read it, my friend, because we're going to be talking about that one for a hot
They
minute.
already were saying beforehand, they're like, the Kansas cooler with no Hendon mob.
It is funny when you come into a final table and people start Googling names. And
They got to figure out where you are. Yeah.
yeah. And they're like, look at this guy. His highest score all time is like 3,700 in some like weekend tournament and wherever.
Exactly.
And like, don't give you credit for anything, but maybe you're an online player, or maybe
You're a cash player.
yeah. I mean, there's any number of different ways for it to go, but I would say that all 4 of these players remaining have certainly showed that they have an understanding of the game. GP has shown he's got a lot of heart. behind that mask and hoodie as well, because my goodness, the ace-7 getting in there a couple of times, as well as even I think it was an ace-deuce or something from early position, maybe even under the gun. So definitely some spice there in the 3 seat. Zachary opens it up from the button.
Heads up.
And Trung defends the big blind. Neither player connects with the board.
Yeah, neither player holding a club either, so nobody really loving this position. Gonna take a stab.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zachary loves this board about as much as he does any board that does not actually connect with his hand. It's really hard for Trung to have anything here that wants to continue. I mean, third pair is a deuce. Not saying a deuce is folding, but like there's always going to be an overcard on the turn and another one on the river if he does decide to stick around for a couple of floats. But as it stands, just the queen-9 high here, and Trung with no reasonable backdoor to make a speculative check raise, I think, is likely headed for the exit. But thinking it over.
Well, and that's the good thing about these tournaments, these local tournaments with these fields so big. We have not had the same final tables and not the same faces. I mean, we've had a lot of people be repeat, guys and gals that show up on some of our final tables, but this just shows you that if you come in and put in a few days' work, anybody is capable of going home, with $100,000 type prize in some of these big tournaments. So you got to keep firing bullets at these suckers.
Absolutely.
Play good and run good. That is the key. These are our final 4
Raise to 6
out of over 1,500 entries.
And man, I want to go back to just how quickly we've gone from 9 down to 4. I mean, obviously hand number 1 there with 3 blinds under the gun. Like, of course, they're going to be all in and likely eliminated pretty quickly. But it has just been rip-roaring down, and we've only gone up 1 level, right? So now we've got some serious depth in the stacks. Zachary there going through the blinds, now going to be a smidge under 20 bigs. Everyone else, like, quite healthy, right? We don't have anyone who is now just like, a few orbits and I'm going to be short and I better, find my hand and go for it, right? So we may see a lot more of this post-flop action and get to see some really interesting poker. We've got a couple mystery cards here.
And number 30.
Grizzle joining us in the chat. What's up,
RJ Dupree, our co-commentator in the house. Get your booty back to Texas ASAP, my friend. We miss you. Shout out to RJ.
My brother, and Happy New Year, man.
Absolutely.
May it be a better one.
Yeah, RJ, if you're just tuning in, rewind, go back to hand number 23. You'll catch up real quick on what about the last 40 chats have been about. Definitely a highlight-worthy hand there. We're down to 4. Couple of big stacks. Kind of a middling stack for Trung, and Harvey still working with a little bit of a shorter stack. Plenty to play for here.
Yeah, I thought that Zach was under 20 big blinds, but it's actually starting this hand with 20 big blinds.
With 20,
the ante. Trung here going to open the button. GP calls from the small blind. And here we go. Zachary with an opportunity to peel off a flop, King 7 suited. for the low price of one more big blind. There is the call, 1.9 million in the middle, 3 ways to a king high board, all clubs. GP here, full with Zachary though, top pair and Trung, middle pair and a pretty darn good third nut flush draw. Doesn't really have the kind of hand that wants to build a pot though. So
700 is a bet.
I'm actually a little bit curious what the bet here. I mean, I guess it's just a hand that can bet and call raises. So I'm not really sure though what you get value from that isn't ahead of you. Nonetheless, bet a 700,000, 1/3 pot. Back over to Zachary with the top pair. And Zach will make that call. Heads up now to the turn. A second pair now for Trung. Huge turn card. This board, though, ever more connected. Zachary probably in a spot where he feels like he just has to sort of call off on innocuous turns and rivers, but the 10 of hearts not in an innocuous
3 million
turn. And Trung is asking the question right now. Do you want to play for all of it? Despite it not being an all-in wager. What do you think here, Eric? You look down at the king 7 of hearts here. You get to take a flop 3 ways, and this flop and turn and this action.
I'm hating life right now. I'm in the same spot Zachary is in. There's no calling here. It's just let it go or get it in there.
I mean, the trickiest thing, too, is just like finding bluffs, right? Like, what does my opponent have that bets flop as a bluff and is still bluffing on the turn?
Yeah, and he's never folding for an additional 1.7 million. So I just have those 2 options. Jammy jam or shut it down.
Yeah, you can sort of think about something like queen 10 with a club. And like if that's your best case scenario, then you're like flipping, and there's just not very many combinations of that, right? Obviously, you're a little bit better than flipping, but not by much. And if that's your best case scenario, then you lose to all of the presumed value. That does indeed have the king 7 in the basement, which is pretty much all of it. I don't think king X that, you know, like king 5 or something like that is barreling here.
Thank you, bro.
Zachary, though, taking his time with the spot. Now the body language indicating cold incoming, and there it is. Trung improving on the turn and taking down the pot.
All right, that's going to put Trung up over 10 million. So we got 15, 14, and 10 million. Zachary down there at 4.6. Going to need to find a spot here.
King, no club.
Pretty soon, but isn't forced to jam just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nasty pot for Zachary to lose, like to be certain. But I mean, he's still got 15 blinds. And he's going to be in that blind a lot as the four-handed play continues, but he is definitely not in some sort of like omega danger zone.
Got a king in the small blind here. Not loving that kicker.
Raise.
He is going to raise it up, though, against the big blind. Timing is impeccable.
Gets a nice little chuckle out of Kansas, too, and Zachary already knows he's going to win the hand, so it's just a matter of time.
The mumbler is going in the muck.
I saw you jerk there. What was that about?
I thought you were throwing it in, and then you held on to it. So I'm going and tossing my cards.
All right, that's going to put Zachary over 5 million now. And he's got the button.
Rebel, no, only TCH Dallas really rocks the 250K, even bigger one every month. The other locations have certainly a lot of weekly tournaments, but the big one is sort of exclusive to Dallas. Y'all just really do things a little bit differently up there. Have such a good population for tournaments that show up there. It was a little bit different competition and such in some of the other locations and other factors. So unfortunately, don't have anything quite that large as a regular option down here in Austin or Houston.
Zachary may be picking up a little momentum here. Going to raise it up. Just a min click and going to get called by Trung.
Beautiful flop for Trump.
When you land a board here like this, Aaron, out of position, big blind here for Trung, are you ever leading out here, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I figured, yeah. Don't let them catch up.
Well, it's not necessarily about them catching up as much as like this is really just your board.
Oh,
and
for sure.
If your opponent, I mean, there is some aspect to them catching up, but the bigger part of it is that you charge them to catch up, right? Like if your opponent just has king, queen, ace, jack, whatever, right? Like those hands aren't necessarily going to fold if you lead. So it's not that you're preventing them from catching up, but you're forcing them to put chips in the pot, right? Like, they can just check back and see the turn for free, and your top pair like immediately turns into second pair, right? Like, you know, 70+% of the time, like your hand is now just second pair at best, and especially if an ace or king or something comes off, like you're going to be like, awesome, like that sucks, and feel a lot of pressure.
You didn't smash the board hard enough to really check there, so trying to lead out and get something, you know, from him. Charging him for those overcards. Yeah, and really, I mean, I don't know a ton about like proper leading frequencies and things like that under these ICM conditions, four-handed at this stage of a tournament with these pay jumps. Like I really have no idea. I would be just like out in left field trying to talk about it. But certainly when you have like under the gun ranges opening into the field with like 8 or 9 handed, the big blind gets to do a lot of leading on these low boards because like the opener is just not going to have any of that. Like they're not going to have any of the sets. They're, you know, at best going to have like over pairs, and so you really get to attack those sorts of ranges with aggression, as opposed to like denying them equity or charging them to hit their cards. And that's a little bit of a different scenario in what we just saw right there, I think, where it's like Trung just kind of needs to start building the pot himself, right? Like four-handed play, you kind of just have to start playing a little bit more straightforward for your range when you're in the big blind and see something that's just that good for you.
How you doing, Jordy?
mean, I'm sure we've all seen it, right, in like 1-2 or whatever low stake cash game,
I know.
where
I know.
no, like some people in the big blind, they just don't care like what your range should be or how strong your your hand could or should be. They just like hit their flop and start betting. You know, sometimes you just do that in tournaments too.
We've got a bet of just over $1 million from Kansas. Got our Jack Links mystery card there. It does have a king high. And GP is going to fold. And now Kansas got that chip lead by a couple million now. 15.7 almost million. GP down to 13.8. Trung at 10.6, and Zachary is down there at the 4.6, and he is in the big blind here. Yeah, we're in contact. The booth is with the table. That's why Johnny's wearing that headset. So we will let him know that they need to scan their cards a little better. We are on a delay, so any changes that are made won't be for 15 or 20 more minutes. So hopefully that gets taken care of.
All right, small blind defend here from GP. What a flop, my goodness. Kansas here flopping the joint up against the player with the second largest chip stack. And I mean, the temptation, of course, is to just check your hand back here, which he does. You've got this so locked up that you just want your opponent to pick up any piece.
I think it's like close too. Check. I think it's 35.
GP not
Flip for 18K.
biting, at least not yet. The deuce really doesn't change anything. Let's see if Kansas just checks again. And he does.
If he's got pocket sixes, that would just be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's got ace-6 at all, this is definitely a spot where he could lose a little bit. Could even go for a very small bet here, like a block size, right? If Kansas is just sort of trying to get to showdown with something like ace-jack. Makes
Absolutely.
a lot of sense for GP to bet, you know, 500K, something like that, and he does indeed go
800.
for a little bit on the chunkier size. I'd still consider this a block-ish size. And actually not a bad one either, right? Like if you are just going to sort of check, check, give up, and then all of a sudden get to this river and be like, all right, I guess I have, you know, 5 high, and now it's time to bluff. You might go for the little bit larger size. Kansas, though, finally gets what he wanted, a bet from his opponent, and now has to decide how big to raise.
$4 million.
Raise to 4 million.
Nice pot size raise there from Kansas.
You get GP squirming a little bit in his seat over there.
Yeah, now the sort of mind games begin, right? Like GP's got something like, let's call it 7-6 of diamonds right now, right? Picks up a pair, goes for a little value, trying to get paid by an ace high, now gets raised pot. Does his opponent ever have it in him to just like check flop, check turn with ace jack high, now get to the river and be like, oh, well, how about I just try to punish your 2s and 6s that go for value against my ace highs and just raise you? Like, is he doing that? Is that happening? Or are you just getting trapped like always? GP, let's it go.
Yeah, the 7-6 of diamonds, it just scanned as he folded, so we did get to see what the other card was. It was a 7-6 of diamonds.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it.
I was like trying to think about what he would call with a 6 of diamonds in his hand from the small blind.
There you have it.
Diamond.
A beautiful little 6-7 of diamonds.
Folds.
Right back in the saddle here. GP now on the button. Very consistently opening to these larger sizes, not going for the min click opens. And the problem with the min click open, or not using the min click open, is that he might have gotten Zachary to jam this hand. I'm not sure if he will now, or maybe he actually sees this as weakness. Who knows? But Zachary, 13 big blind. Queen nine of hearts, sort of right in your wheelhouse. Oh, he is going to go for it anyways. All right, going to be in a tough spot if GP finds the call. And good Lord, Kansas looks down at a pretty reasonable holding as well.
Yeah, wants a count.
I mean,
this exploded very quickly.
And now after folding the queens, right, and then like thinking to himself, like, oh wait a minute, like if I fold king, queen of diamonds here and like get shown down, you know, whatever, some hand that I'm crushing. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, he's just got a pretty easy fold here, I think.
All right, let's that one go. And we know what's going to happen here. We think we've seen stranger things on this very stream. Could we see a button fold, an ace queen, and we all collectively throw up in unison whatever we drank last night?
I was wondering about that.
I am definitely surprised that we had any thought about it, but GP does settle on the call. 8.7 million in the middle. Zachary gonna need some help here.
Team Zach at risk. Oh,
nine on the flop. Gonna need Barry Greenstein here on the end for GP to eliminate his opponent. It does not come.
No Barry Greenstein ace, and another double up for Team Castro.
That's why I did it real.
Zach's got that alligator blood going.
We are going to be heads up, aren't we?
They can't get rid of him. Nice hand there, my friend.
Next player to be eliminated, $35,840.
Lines will be up next hand, guys.
Not happening just yet, though, as GP and Zachary now leveling the playing field down there.
That was my
at
fifth time.
just a shade under 30 big blinds. That was a massive
We both
double
used
up.
all those.
300,000 cards exposed, guys.
Zach is a soccer player. You know, he's got the endurance, so he's keep hanging around. Found a hand to go with there and just spiked that 9. What a hand.
Yeah, now we should see some interesting hands play out as, you know, sort of 30 big blind stacks across the board, 30 big blinds plus. Gives definitely room for multi-street play instead of the pre-flop jamming and, you know, basic commitment on the flop and whatnot. So here we go. Kansas, of course, not long for the world here from the small blind. But seemingly with a decision.
1.5.
1.5 million.
Never mind. What do I know?
The old mumbler coming in hot here. 5-3 offsuit. Zach's like, I've just got these chips, damn it. Sometimes you know you're being bullied and you still have to lay down a decent hand here, four-handed. Does let it go there.
All right, 350.
Nice play there for our chip leader, Mr. Kansas. No spoilers, Jedi. He lets us know that Andy Dufresne does indeed escape the Shawshank prison. So if you haven't seen that movie, really sorry, guys. I may have to mute Jedi. He's really spoiling it over there.
It's much better than
Andy Dufresne does indeed escape Shawshank. Crawls through tunnels of shit, but he gets there. Well played, sir. Grayson Norwood. All right, buddy. What's going on, man? Got some more fun cash game players joining the chat.
All right, we've had another level up, by the way. 350,000 for the big blind here.
I love seeing that. TCH Las Colinas currently has one more active table than the Win does in Vegas. That's right, ladies and gents. No need to go to Vegas. We got the poker right here in Tejas.
Trump sees a good flop for his range, takes down with a small c-bet. $39 hands, down from 9 players to 4. Next player eliminated, $35,840. They'll be taken home.
Johnny's got a hot date tonight. His lovely wife, Miss Kara. He's wanting to get this thing finished so he can go see Mama.
700 is the
Couple of tanks for Kansas.
700.
Quick fold there from Trung with the ace-9.
Yeah, doesn't want to tangle with the chip leader. He's sort of a player that can be leveraged the most by Zach being ever so slightly shorter than Trung. Zach is going to defend this big blind for one more blind, and here we go. 21 bigs effective. Just one overcard for the 10s. Zachary with backdoor spades. Really not loving this flop.
600.
All right, takes it down. Kansas cooler. Got Mom in the chat. We got Harvey Castro Sr. and Mama Castro in the chat as well. That's pretty cool. 2 weeks in a row on these final tables, we've had Mom and Dad rooting on their kiddos, so that's pretty cool.
Raise.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, not only that you're at the final table playing for over $100,000, but that you can have your family watch as it happens, get in on the action, and participate in the chat. Like, just how cool is that? All right, wow. Did I just see pocket sixes just get folded?
You sure did by one young Castro. Big flop for Trung here.
675 is that.
Kansas heads for the exit. Trung takes another one down. Chips up to a little over 12 million.
Man, I've not seen this much love for the state of Kansas since I went to my nephew's last football game at Pittsburgh, Kansas. And he and all his football buddies are currently in Europe. Probably not tuning in tonight, but hopefully they're not getting into too much trouble. A lot of Kansas boys over in Europe. What could possibly go wrong?
Depends on what part of
players. Yeah, Kansas football players at that. I just told him no bar fights, please.
Yeah, it's not best. Not a good look. All right, Bolts Kansas in the small blind. He's got the chip lead and will just call. Trung here with a blackjack hand. Should be happy to see a flop for what he's already invested. The other two players, of course, are like, come on, guys, play it all in pot. But probably not going to happen, especially not with this flop. Both players can have some rag aces. Kansas can also have some trapped big aces.
Little tickle out there should get it done.
375 is that.
$500 was the buy-in, Pinoy. Had over 1,500 entries in this multi-day tournament. And these are our final four.
875.
Yeah, I said should get it done, and look at that. Kansas snips that one out, goes in for a raise, and Trung quickly lets go of the 8 deuce. Nice play there for Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas just gets a little bit more credibility there because he can have all of the traps limping from the small blind. And yeah, I mean, for the small price, their check raise tiny. Just blasts his opponent right out of the pot. We've seen some really high level poker here so far tonight, and we've got a ways to go, I imagine, as the levels are going up, but the actual like decrease in stack depth is not very substantial, going from 250 to 350K for the big blind here over the course of the night so far. Next level should be 400K as well, so another modest increase before presumably we go up to 500K a level after that. So still a lot of play here. And even if we were at 500K right now, the big stack would be, you know, well over 30 big blinds. And I'm sure we'll see eliminations before we get there. Wow, GP, not to be outdone. He's like, no, you guys are playing poker. I can play poker too. 8-5 offsuit. 3-bet to 2.1 million.
With the Ocho Cinco.
And Kansas going to make the call. SPR of 1 here. Make a pair, get it all in. If it's an 8, that would be dangerous. Yeah. Jack high board. GP has super whiffed this, but Kansas, 1 overcard and a gut shot. Not particularly inspiring if GP were to stuff it all in there. You got to imagine this is just like one of these situations where, like, how did we get here? What's going on? I have 8 high and pretty much no hope of improving. Do I just shut this down now? No. GP, foot on the gas, goes for it.
3 million.
Yeah, it's going to be most of his stack here. So it's essentially an all-in. Leaves himself 2 million behind. Does get it through. Wow. The 8-5 off. Ocho Cinco.
Go.
Getting it done. See?
GP.
Little poker there, Steven. We've seen pretty much all spectrums of poker play tonight.
Some reds. Just 5.
I know there's definitely some nerves here. These guys are playing for some big bucks. Next man out, 35,840. Of course, 1,000 or 100,570 up top. A lot to play for.
1,000. That's all you get. You get the
hole.
trophy.
You shut your hole. $1 million.
Raise 750 is now the bet.
Well, if 850 was good enough a moment ago, see how GP plays the King 10 suited. It's just going to be a call. Back gets out of the way. Diamond would be insane. And we get 2 of them on the flop. The 7 also working for Trung.
Nasty,
but it's
nasty.
2 full overcards for GP along with the superior flush draw. 2.2 million in the middle. And not a small bet here from GP. Leads for 900,000 into the pre-flop aggressor. I mean, Trunk's got a combo draw here, right? Like, it is only the gut shot version of the combo draw, but like 1 overcard, the gut shot, the diamonds. I mean, he doesn't really have an incentive to build this pot further, but has a tremendous incentive to realize his equity here. So 900,000 going in will take the pot up to 4 million.
All right, here
and
we go to a
where
turn.
we will take a turn. SPR of 2.
Ooh.
Top pair now for GP. And Trung hand shrivels up a little bit.
Check.
GP going to check now. Feels like I've got enough of this board that let's see if you want to.
Oh, wow.
Take a stab, and a stab it is. Trung rips it now.
I did not see that coming. Trung ripping it for 8 million. GP all in.
It makes a lot of sense, right? Like 2x pot here is going to put infinite pressure on all of GP's hands. Like even if GP had 9-10, turns 2 pair and is like, okay, like I don't know, maybe you flopped a straight or something. Let's play a little bit of pot control, get my value on the river, or you know, check and let you bet and I can call, right? Like there's a lot of different storylines, a lot of different nodes that you can think about with a pretty strong hand that now are like, wait, what? What do I do now? Top pair, second kicker with king high diamonds though. How do you fold this?
How do you fold this? Yeah, I don't
know. Is it possible? Incredible spot though for GP. 88%, and he folds.
Goodness gracious. Wowzer.
That is the power of the 2x overbet.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, that is insane. Rebel poker, tournament poker is tough. That's why you don't see the same faces on final tables. You don't see the same champions and all these big events. You got to play to win, and sometimes people are just playing to ladder up. And if you can pick that off, put some max pressure on them, and that's exactly what Trung did just there. Got his opponent to fold the way superior hand.
Raise to 7.
Yeah, I mean,
that was sick, sickening.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just like in your head, do you just like think to yourself, okay, he's got some sort of 10-6 or something, turn 2 pair, and is just launching it in there, trying to get me to fold? I don't understand. I don't know. That hand is just so good. It's too strong.
Hand 43. That's one we'll go back to. That is just sick play there from Trunk.
Yeah, dude, Trung is a monster. I mean, his hand obviously makes a ton of sense though too, right? It's like it's that combo draw that has one card to come. Like now is when we want you to fold. Top pair here for Kansas. Bottom pair for GP.
Check.
And an action killer on the turn.
Check.
But GP is going to bet. I mean, the ace is certainly good for his range, but betting $1 million here, half pot with bottom pair. Presumably trying to get an 8 to fold. And hell, with what we've seen tonight, hell, maybe just, get a king to fold.
Call.
Not yet, though, says Kansas. And certainly not after that. Now we could see a lead from Kansas.
Yeah, hoping your opponent has some sort of an ace-x hand here.
Check, flop. Check, bet. Turn. And now lead jam for 1.5x pot.
And really hoping he had an ace there, because that's really all that's going to ever call there on that all-in. Of course, we know the hand. It was a 10-6, and easy fold there. Little tank to save some face there for GP, but never calling there with a 6.
That time I really had it.
Yeah.
32 million in that stack though now for
you would have called me there
for Kansas. Is that right, or did they adjust? What's going on
pair
here?
Aces, you called 8. You called an 8.
That's got to be an error, right?
Bull, Trung. You didn't like that bet?
Good one, but
I love it. These guys talking through the hands, giving each other a little bit of insight as we go along. GP now, starting with 18
Raise
bigs.
1.1 million.
Again, going for the 3x open.
Hello.
And wow.
Hello, Kansas. Waking up with the goodies.
And Kansas can go both ways here. He can just call. He can raise. Honestly, I would love the just call here. Ace is just sort of like the perfect hand.
Raised to 2.9 million. Fold. 2.9.
Quick fold from Trung. Now back to GP. 5.3 million behind.
Yeah, the problem here, GP, right? Like, he's in position but it's not really going to matter if he calls. Stack to pot ratio is going to be like 1/2. I mean, if he connects in any way, obviously it'll be easy to get all the money in, but if he whiffs, he's just going to be folding and watching a lot of his stack go by the wayside. In fact, even if he folds right now, he will be shorter than Zach, but not by too much.
All in. All in call.
That would be a snapper. No need to ship, says all as well, but that's what just happened.
Hold one time for the good guys.
GP's wife rooting for him. She's in the chat. Catches a king.
Yeah, halfway there is GP. Needs a little help, though.
Looking for a face. That is not going to get it done.
Yeah, aces so many times, man.
So many times. Watch the feed and see how many times I had aces. You're going to love watching this.
Well, Kansas seems no worse for wear after folding the queens in what would have been a massive chip-leading pot earlier. He is still controlling a majority of the chips in play.
Yeah.
25 million to the remaining 18 million of his opponents.
There you go. GP, great job. Another final table for him. Shout out to his friends and family that were rooting him on. He's going to take home $35,840. So great showing there for GP. Just, bad spot there. You run into the aces.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for him. But we will see him, I'm sure, around the poker room and at another final table in the future.
I don't know if that necessarily was a cooler, but that was more of a gift.
And now Zach has laddered up once again.
Not to be cocky, though. I'm very humbled by this experience.
I know. I have it right here.
And now,
They get 4 blues.
Yes.
$47,380 locked up, still trying to move up another spot or two.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be, as far as I know, Zach's biggest score. I think he had another 5-figure nice tournament score here in the last year or so, but this is going to be a nice one to add to his Hendon mob. Into the Castro family Hendon mob that just keeps growing.
Yeah, I mean, Harvey certainly
All in.
no stranger to big scores. But Zachary not going to be left behind. Trung gets one through here from the small blind, punishing Zachary for being the short stack. And
yeah,
four-handed play already sort of really pushes the action, makes you
I can't wait for you to see what I jammed. I can't wait.
A lot. And now
when
you got a 3 hands you're playing.
When I jam the river, I can't wait. You're not going to believe your eyes.
Trung of Kansas going over a earlier hand. This guy's been battling it out for a couple days here. So
750.
they're definitely going to enjoy going back and watching some of these fun hands we've had at the final table.
Folds.
Did you have like a 9 high or something?
I think that's exactly what he had.
I was right, right? I was right.
750.
All right, there we go. Get those chip stacks correct now. It's 24 million, not the 34 it showed a little earlier for Kansas.
Heads up.
Nice flop here for Kansas. Top pair.
Raised to 2.4 million.
All right, the rich get richer. Kansas going to take home another pot there.
Okay, now this is my
Harvey's, or not Harvey. Sorry, Zach. Don't ever let me call you Harvey again. He's back there talking to Harvey, getting some good advice, I'm sure. But Zach is on the button now. He is our shorty with 5.1 million.
Gotcha.
And wakes
yeah,
up with the old mumbler.
In these spots, I'm sure Harvey has already sort of given him his little spiel, if not just right there. You're the shortest stack. Like, you're the one who has to make something happen, and you're the shortest stack by far, right? Like, if he doubled through Kansas, he will not even be stacked up. Oh no, I guess he would just barely outstack Trung. But if he does double through Trung, then they sort of flip spots, flip positions, right? So all the pressure's on him to make something happen, but at the same time, like, you're short, right? Like, you find your spot, you just go for it, and let what happens happen. If you're able to get that double up, you're right back in it, and now it's your turn to sort of, wait out the short stack and secure your spot in the final two. But as of right now, Trung here definitely doesn't want to play an all-in pot against Kansas if he can help it. Well, unless he has the nuts, of course. But this is a spot where top pair, certainly good enough to get a few more chips in the middle. But I would not be surprised if we see a slowdown on the turn. Maybe not with that card. Does still settle on the check. Going to give his opponent an opportunity to bluff the river, or perhaps just bet in position, get 2 streets of value. The 4 is actually playing here for Kansas, so if he wants to beat an ace high that Trung may be working with, he's going to need to bet. But does just decide to try to take his showdown.
$2.2 million is the bet.
And it is an overbet. Kansas quickly folds. We'll move on to the next. Hand number 49 coming at you.
Yeah, Zach's going to be in the big blind this hand. Have 700,000 committed with his 5.1 million.
David Gregory, love it. You shouldn't be wrapped up like a burrito at the final table. I want a hoodie that has the texture and whatever, it looks like a tortilla, and then when I can like wrap it around and it's just, I look like a burrito, a real burrito.
Over under for reaching hand number 70. I'm going to say under.
850 is the bet.
I don't think we're getting there the way Johnny's been putting these hands out there. We're on hand 49, but we shall see.
I'm taking the over on 70.
All right.
Zachary folding 7s and 5s that Kansas needs. 6s for Trung, gonna drill middle set. And 3 to a straight, 3 to a flush here for Kansas. Actually, pretty reasonable candidate to c-bet the flop and maybe tell a story across multiple streets. Wow, that card
Spicy
is like,
card.
yeah, the spiciest one you could imagine.
Still checking from Trung. Second set here.
Neo Matrix, no overlay. 633,000 in the prize pool, 500K guaranteed in this one. Kansas up and down with a bad flush draw. But if you brick, you're gonna have 7 high, and if you want a 6 to fold or something, yeah, you're gonna need to start betting now.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
3.2 as well.
3.2
Huge
into
bet.
2.4, 1.5x over bet. Oh, this is spicy. Trung's still just not incentivized to play an all-in pot if he can help it here. I mean, his hand is so strong, but I think just calling here, even though there's a lot of rivers that you're not going to love, I mean, going all in just feels like suicide.
Yeah, and there's some clear, some cards that would be clear folds for him. Were another spade to hit, and Kansas jams there. So looks like he makes the call here.
It's the 8th of diamonds. It's the brick for the 7-5, but actually the kind of card that, I mean, Trung just shouldn't have any of. Kansas is going to finish with 7 high here and stack to pot ratio of 1. I don't know about you, but an ace on the river kind of feels like a spot where you might just hammer it in there.
Check.
Does give it up. It is also kind of weird because Trung calls the.
I was supposed to bet that ace.
I know.
Yes, you were.
supposed to.
We were just saying that very thing.
And actually,
Competition, brother.
No, I was disappointed. Have it or don't have it, you're supposed to jam it.
You need to stop, brother. Seriously, I told you before this started.
Blood's kind of covering the little scan zone there. Let's see if his card's actually scanned there in the 1 seat.
750.
Raise to 750.
They did indeed scan, and they are 2 kings on the button.
Catching some heat here is Trung, and a defendable hand for Kansas in the big blind.
King high board would be nasty. Ugh. Even 3-handed, feels like the ace magnet loves to just hit. Bets it though and takes it down.
Yeah, not really a bad card for Trung, just not a good one for him to get value. Goes for the small size, a 9 or a 7, kind of feels obligated to stick around, but yeah. That's often how these hands go. 3-handed, someone defends the blind, doesn't hit anything, and just instant folds.
Got another 4 minutes at this level here at 175, 350, 350. Zach on the button with a nice ace-10. Probably the best hand he's seen in a hot minute.
Yeah, I can pick up about $1 million just by getting
Oh my gosh.
folds, but
Kansas waking up with the ladies.
he is running hot.
10, 12.
And yeah, we've still got Trung left to act here, right?
18,
So Kansas
17, 18, somewhere.
has to factor in the fact that if he just calls,
I call. Call.
he could potentially induce something from Trung.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, he wants to play that suited connector.
Alright, guys.
All
right.
Zachary, all in, needs some help.
Zach at risk again. Team Castro in the chat, rooting on their man.
There it is.
Oh, there's the ace, but it's a heart.
There's still hearts. Nope.
Wow, Zachary survives.
4.25.
Cannot get rid of this young man. What a hand.
Last time
Into the
was
two queens from Kansas with spikes and ace on the turn. There's always a sweat there, even on the river,
Well
Aaron.
played, Zach.
No kidding. And man, I'll tell you what, like when you played through 3 full days of poker, well, 2 full days of poker, and then
Yeah.
you know whatever we are, 2 hours into the
I was
final
happy to
table,
wake up there.
you know you've been running good. Things have been going your way. You've been winning some hands, maybe that you shouldn't have. But these are the ones that really count at this stage, right? Like being able to double up there for the second time, all in and behind. Amazing stuff for Zachary to still be in this tournament.
Classic.
Yeah, now we're at hand 52. Making that 70 hand over under a little bit more real
I
now.
don't know.
I mean, yeah, if it's just like cooler after cooler, I mean, it could be over. But I'll tell you what, I think, I mean, now we've just evened things out a little bit, right? Trung and Kansas are basically bang on even, both working with 45 big blinds, something like that. And Zachary now up over 20. There's a fair bit of play here, right? 100 big blinds in play, 3-handed. It's not just all in and see what happens. Check, flop. Both players with a
No, I still have mine.
jack kicker.
Thanks for reminding me.
The board is misread on the screen there. We're just checking to get to showdown. Both players
I'm gonna dump it
not
on Zach.
feeling good enough about their jack kicker to go for value or need to turn it into a bluff. So let's hack this one up.
We are the same, dude.
I swear.
What did you think about the ending to that Texas game today, huh? The Longhorns letting Arizona right back into it there towards the end and having to take it into overtime.
Into the overtime streets. Yeah, I didn't actually catch it, sadly. That was nap time on
And maybe
the January 1st afternoon for me. So we missed that, and regrettably so, but heard it was a doozy.
you can
Gotcha. Yeah, and it was very exciting. I mean, 6.5 minutes left or whatever it was, up 16 points. I stopped paying attention even earlier than that because it just seemed like a foregone conclusion that Texas was just going to continue manhandling them and seal the deal. Then all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, wait a minute, there's under 2 minutes. Texas is trying to drive down to kick a field goal to win. Like, what is going on, right? Like, that game turned on a dime. And then, of course,
Blinds are up, guys. 2,
overtime,
4, 4. Now the blinds.
it was all Texas real quick. But, man, that was pretty stressful for the home crowd here. Everybody in the card room oohing and awing and
I can imagine,
lamenting the fact that they had not won that game in regulation.
2, 4, 4.
All right, level up, 200, 400 on the big blind. Zachary going to start the hand with 22 big blinds after the level up. A walk for Trung in the big blind, and with that, a reminder that you could be here on this very live stream and table playing for your share of the $1 million guaranteed title event. $800 buy-in coming up here at the end of the Trailblazer Poker Tour, coming to Texas Card House Dallas, TCH Social Las Colinas. January 31st through February 3rd, 20 events across both locations. PLO and Hold'em high roller events in the mix as well, with that 400K multi-flight event as well. So plenty of opportunities for you guys to get in on the action, win some money, and show us your chops here on TCH Live.
That's right. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Let's see you on them tournament streets at the end of January here in Dallas.
Yeah, I will definitely be up there for that. Wasn't able to make it out to the Rio Grande Valley for their big final table, or for their big title event and final table that just played out the other night. But I will be in Dallas for the hijack, or for the, excuse me, Trailblazer Tour.
If we get a 5 on the river,
Betting 6.
that'll be all she wrote. That'll be a 6-6 card. 8-4 and 4-3, both with gutter balls and nothing else. But yeah, Zach's just going to get out of there. Avoid disaster. Zigging and zagging when he's supposed to. Not that hard to do with a 4 high there, but.
And also just drill in pairs when he needs it to come through.
Absolutely.
E7 here, really the hand of the night.
Raise
And it
1.1
played
million.
more than pretty much any other ace. And Zachary here, a couple of 6s in the small blind with 20 bigs. 3-handed 6s are pretty monstrous, especially as the short stack here. And Trung has opened to a larger size too, 1.1 million. This is not the sort of traditional in-click open.
So he is going to raise.
Raise 2.7 million.
I think Trung just opened to 900,000 as well. I'm not sure. Maybe there was 1.1 million sort of lurking over to the side.
Yeah, it was 1.1.
That was light. 100%.
I was light.
Yeah.
Kansas telling him that was light.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
No, ace 10 of hearts wasn't very light, 3-handed either. That went into the muck. Zach now with 10 million in chips and the button. So that was definitely a much needed hand there.
Yeah, you just never get to take a hand off, right? Like, 1 out of 3 hands, you're going to be on the button. And a lot of the time, you're going to look down at a hand that sort of feels compelled to open the pot and play from position. So, yeah, you're just always playing. Very different vibe from the rest of the tournament up until this point. And all 3 players going to take up a flop.
Heck yeah, 3-handed. Let's go.
3 players.
Good board here for Kansas.
Checks.
And no change on the turn.
But the jack's still way ahead. Kansas really mulling this one over here. Up top pair, and it checked through. He's going to start putting some money in now.
875 is bet.
Grabs a little bit of everything. Down to 3 chips in play. The green 500Ks, the red 100s, and the blue 25Ks.
Wow, and Trung is going to come in for a huge raise.
Yeah, so the 3 is going to be good for Trung. The jack better, or at least decent for Kansas. Kansas calling out of the small blind. He can have a lot of these sort of Broadway combinations. Trung, of course, just gets to have everything as he closes the action from the big blind. Kansas will make the call. 9.2 million in the middle, and a 10 comes off on the end. Top 2 for Kansas.
Really?
And he just got He just got raised after probing the turn. I mean, he just almost always has to check here.
Yeah, give your opponent a chance to hang himself.
Not sure what the plan is here to block. I don't know. I think he's already given away that he's really got something to work with here. I mean, yes, he could be trying to sell it to get a cheap showdown or something, but my goodness. Really looked like he wanted to bet there.
5.8.
Wow, and it worked.
5.8 million. Calls.
You win.
Calls and a you win announced. Yeah, I thought maybe Trung might be through that a little bit as well, but he still went ahead with a $5.8 million river bet and snap call from Kansas, who has retaken over the chip lead, but now putting Trung at risk as he's now our shorty with 7.7 million. So what a turn of events there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that nobody ever said about Trung was that he plays tight, but
no, he's trying to win this sucker just like everybody else, and he's going to continue mixing it up like he does.
Yeah, yeah, that one's just a little bit of a I don't know. I mean, I think there were several points in the hand where things could have gone differently. The real issue there, I think, at the very end is like after you've already raised your opponent, that they then like tank that river card. And I mean, he was like looking at his chips. I mean, if he is capable of doing that when he just has like a 6 or something, to try to just convince his opponent to like check back, I mean, you know, he deserves a job in Hollywood. But yeah, that sure looked strong to me.
Yeah, very surprised, and that's, I mean, big sizing too. Just, oof. All right, going to be an uphill battle now, though, for both Trung and Zach. As Kansas now has almost 28 million in chips.
Yeah, it took him. It took him what was it? Hand number 23? Is that what it was?
Yeah, the queens.
Yeah, so 37 hands to get all those chips back, but he has accomplished that goal on his way to trying to accumulate all of the chips in play. 100K up top for the player that does accomplish that feat. 47,380 for the next player eliminated. And now, as you said just a moment ago, Trung very much in danger of being the recipient of that third place money.
You know what your plan, Zach?
I'm entirely sure.
And my goodness, like every time Kansas peels his cards, he's got something playable. Like we have not seen him go through any substantial run of like 7-3, 9-4, 10 deuce. Like none of those cards are showing up in his hands.
All in.
Raise all in.
Rip City from Kansas. Zach will take a second to think about this and save a little face. Unless there's a big misread on those cards, those will be going into the mug.
Yeah, 21 big blinds. I mean, certainly calling off with King 5 is never really part of a winning strategy, but yeah, certainly not 21 big.
Yeah, Kansas is not a regular here at TCH. Not from the Dallas area. Came in town just to crush a tournament. He's doing a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, I mean,
all these players guaranteed at least $47,380. They're all fighting for that big prize up top, $100,570. Heck of a way to start your new year.
Absolutely.
1.5.
1.5.
And those winnings show up on your 2025 taxes as well, so you have plenty of time to put that money to good use. Before Uncle Scam gets their piece.
Their filthy paws on it, right?
Right.
Jedi Master.
All right.
Asking a question that maybe somebody can answer. Where is Kansas from?
All right, Zachary here in the big blind with the ace-8. Time to stuff it in. Big open though, 1.5 million from Kansas on the button.
Pretty sure he's from Delaware, but not sure.
And wow, we're folding aces here.
I can't hear you.
Damn it, I was off. I thought Delaware. He's from Beijing.
Nice.
Yep. Great food in Beijing. All right, he could do no wrong right now. He is going to win with the dirty diaper and chip up over 30 million.
Yeah, it definitely feels inevitable here, but let's remember that one double up from either Zachary or Trung through the chip leader put them right back into contention and sort of solidify, you know, their position ahead of the other short stack.
Indeed, David.
All in.
All in.
Kansas continues to accumulate. At some point, someone's going to have to take a stand here, but that time has not arrived just yet. Trung now under 15 big blinds, going to be starting the hand with
no water on the table, right?
Yeah, unless you want to be DQ'd, it's up to you.
Jack Baker, $30 million. Those are chips. They are playing for a tidy sum, though. Next player eliminated, 47,000. And the winner taking home 100,000. Runner up,
1.5.
about 69.
Yeah, surprised they haven't just cashed out now, you know. 31.4 million, that's a good day's work. Let's take those up to the cage.
Raise all in.
All in. The two tanks for Trung taking a stand, and it's going to get her done.
This is the curious thing about Kansas continuing to open to this large size.
Yeah.
He puts over 3 big blinds out there on the raise and then has to snap fold to Trung's jam. And I just wonder if the min open gets a little bit more value. You're still applying pressure. It's still the chip leader attacking you in the blind, but when you actually wake up with something you can jam with and you just get that extra blind or more, sort of cherry on top. Anyways, onwards and upwards. Zachary in the small blind, 5 high. Another walk for the chip leader.
Yeah, definitely a small open there is going to put pressure on both of these players, as both of them are, you know, almost equal in chips there. Trung a little bit more than Zach. Any sort of open is going to put pressure on both of those players to actually wake up with a hand to get it in with. So
Yeah, sort of the benefits of opening larger is that you disincentivize your opponent to play pre-flop as a call, like a defend, from the blind. But I just don't think that this circumstance actually lends itself to that. Like, you're the chip leader. You want to play post-flop because you can apply maximum pressure across multiple streets. As the short stack, you like situations where you don't have to make a lot of decisions. You just all in, right? One decision, we put all the chips in, and if you have it or you have something good enough, then you're going to call and we run it out. Okay, right? Like, that's just my lot in life. But when you're the chip leader, you actually really like playing lots of small to medium-sized pots where you can bet, jam, or whatever, right?
All right.
Anyway, here we are.
Castro fam, here we go. Zach is going to be all in with the ace-9 on the button. Kansas going to let go the ace-7. And Trung woke up with some trash, so he's going to let it go.
John Boris, yeah, that's absolutely right. Eric is up there in Dallas. I'm down here in Austin. Thank you so much for those kind words. Thanks for tuning in. Happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. We also do a big cash stream from Dallas on Tuesday night, and Aaron is always on here as well, so you should recognize his voice if you're watching our big cash stream.
1.5.
1.5.
Ants, though, sticking with the large open. And the one thing that I will add to that little tidbit that I had about the large open, it does apply sort of additional pressure to these middling sort of hands. Something like Queen 9, King 10, Jack 9 suited, right? Like these hands that want to jam, but now feel maybe like they don't have the same fold equity. But yeah, there we see it again, right? 10-7 suited, just snap them up. And there's 3 blinds over to his opponent.
Red Bull Poker, get off your poker atlas and just watch on YouTube like the rest of us.
All in.
Trung is all in with the ace-3. Gonna get that done as he had all the other 3s dominated there. All as well, asking how that 50K tournament went today. They crushed it. First place ended up being 14,000 for that. They definitely crushed that one today as well. So I think it's still going on in the room as we speak.
Yeah, I imagine that'll be running until the wee hours as well, as it got started a bit late, right? It was the, oh no, excuse me, started out at 10 a.m. Never mind.
Pocket 5s here.
Can I see one more time? Thank you. Is that 6 screens?
7.
7?
Gonna limp the 5s and play out of position, and that's good enough for Trung to find top pair. Definitely pictured a jam there from Kansas pre-flop, but as it stands, Trung here in a great spot to pick up some additional chips, as those 2 5s don't really hate this flop that much. Overcard to the board does put out a gut shot for Trung. and Kansas on the dummy end. Kansas here once again, really taking all of his options into account here.
B. Young and Robert H. 1 no limit. Table 5.
He did get a chip count from Trung before the hand started, so he kind of knows what he's up against here. He's really putting some thought into this.
I mean, a bet is a bluff, so he's contemplating turning the 5s into a bluff here, presumably, which I guess I can understand, right? Like, you're just probably not winning at showdown if your opponent does have a pair, but at the same time, if they do have a pair, they're never folding. An 8, not a 9, a 7, I suppose, right? Like specifically a 7 if you bet half pot or something, but it just seems kind of odd to me. I don't know, but here we are, still waiting on Kansas, unless he did like check and is thinking that Trung is in the tank, but I don't think that's where we're at. There's the check.
Yeah. I mean, you've given your opponent tons of time to mull over what he's going to do, but kind of giving away a little bit of a tell on the strength of your hand as well. He's going to check it back. And the innocuous deuce of spades.
Yeah, that's a big old brick right there. Doesn't change the texture one bit. And number 69. We're going to hit the 70 mark here. The conclusion of this hand. Trung here with an opportunity to go for some thin value, and I think he should take it. It does reopen the pot, which is always a little bit dangerous, but yeah, Trung is not afraid.
3.1.
3.1 is bad.
And once again, slight overbet here. These players swinging when they do go for it.
Always curious, these random bodies that keep coming over and sticking their nose in the rail. You know, if they're family or just complete oddball strangers, just want to stick their nose, not realizing they're
Sorry
on
for taking
camera.
so long on that one, by the way. I didn't realize it was my turn.
Oh, he says he didn't realize it was his turn there, Aaron.
I was
That's what we thought.
Just give me 1 second here.
He's like, wait, so now I'm going to tank again after all this time. So, yeah, indeed. Does need a little bit of thought here. Although, I don't know. It's what does Trung show up here with that bets flop, checks turn, and then just like bluffs hard, right?
Yeah. Is he really value betting a 3 here?
I mean, really, I think you want Trung to have a 5. You want Trung to have something like Jack 5 suited, Queen 5 suited, something like that. That, I mean, I guess it doesn't even have to be suited. Kansas just limped the small blind, didn't he? Yeah, he just limped. So one can have all of the 5s. But Kansas has 2 of them in his hand. So that really actually puts a hamper on that big pool of bluffs.
Yeah, the only hand that he's value betting is a 3 that you beat. Otherwise, you're smoked.
Yeah, and here I am talking about the 5. He didn't bet on the turn. He bet on the flop, so I'm not sure. No, even that doesn't matter. I don't know. That hand was just weird, but Trung does not get the value.
Yeah, for some reason that pained him a little bit more than I think that hand should have.
That was sus right there.
He wants us to do.
Telling him that was
That
suspect.
was suspicious right there, man.
I don't know. You'll get to see it on TV, buddy.
Choctaw nuts.
Call.
Call here. Let's see what Zach's going to wake up with. He's got the Jackie Robinson. A spike of 4.
That's a nice little window card. Of course, not really trying to build a pot with bottom pair.
Check.
But now after 2 checks, Zachary may go for a little bit, and does. 1 blind.
Well, that's the problem is I had 2 5s. So it was kind of bad to call with. And they were red. That
All right, Zach's going to take that one down. And, just a reminder, those of you watching on YouTube, we also stream on Facebook, Twitch, Kick, and X. Saw Laura there in the chat. It's a Twitch streamer, so thank you guys and gals, wherever you're watching from. Do us a favor and smash that like button and hit subscribe. A lot of great content from TCH coming out every week from all of our locations across the state of Texas. Thank you all for being here with us tonight and making this a fun final table.
Yeah, plenty more final tables coming up in the not-so-distant future as well. One more reminder, the Trailblazer Tour coming back to, or coming to Dallas, rather, for the first time. $1 million guaranteed title event for $800. And a $400K guaranteed multi-flight $365 buy-in event, as well as PLO and Hold'em High Rollers. 20 events across the 2 locations between January 21st and February 3rd, with live stream final tables on the docket.
800.
Yeah, rugged. I mean, I think it's a big part of the conversation right now, right? We've had some big names talking about face coverings and glasses and all that stuff. I mean, it's definitely part of the debate as we're getting Trung jamming the 8-7 suited here. Zach opening the button, Kansas calling, and Trung taking this as his opportunity to squeeze these guys out, take down the pot. But yeah, the trickiest part, I think, about that whole conversation is how to enforce it, because people that wear glasses because they need corrective correction for their vision, right? Like, are you going to tell them what kind of glasses they can or can't wear because it obstructs their eyes too much? Are you going to try to tell someone who's freezing in a 63-degree poker room that they can't wear a hoodie? Are you, right? Like, there's all these different things where it's just like really tough to enforce anything and try to come up with any paradigm or framework for how you would do that. I think we just have to sort of accept that people are going to wear face coverings, wear glasses, etc. And yeah, all right.
There's your answer. There's your answer right there, Laura, because you feel like you can take it down. I think he found a spot there where he thought that maybe Zach was opening with something not very strong and get a flat call from the small blind. And he said, you know what? I got a nice suited connector that flops pretty well, and I'm just going to take
7-8
stab at it. And if we get it all in, I'm probably live. And it worked out. So, you know, it works till it doesn't. But Trung took down a few big blinds there, and he's now chipped up to almost 11 million.
I imagine that we will start to see some small changes as far as face coverings and glasses and things like that at final tables, just because there's like a viewer kind of aspect of being able to see the players, and when everyone there is just like completely obscuring themselves from the cameras and everything, it does cut down on the sort of viewer experience. But at the same time, I mean, I think it's still going to be tough to implement. Like, would you tell Zachary like what he's doing right now, just taking his hood and covering his mouth? Like, you can't do that. Penalize him if he keeps doing it. Like, what would you do?
Absolutely not.
Anyways, Zachary flopping bottom 2. Kansas, presumably with at least a gut shot.
Almost a smirky smile there. We can see at least he has at minimum a gutter ball to a straight.
Johnny B, it is Zach Castro. Right, you are.
No K, just a C.
One of 3 remaining players. $47,380 locked up, still playing for $100,570. Kansas makes the call, $4 million in the middle, and a queen of clubs on the river. Jack 9 was already there, so no change in that department. Zachary still with the 2 pair, which heads up in a 3-handed pot. Should be good enough for another value bet, one would think.
And if you go half pot here or so and you get jammed on, can you ever fold the 2-piece?
Well, it's certainly a question that you want to have answered before you put those 2 million out there, or even
bigger,
a larger sum.
Almost full pot. Okay, well, there's our answer. He did not have the 6-9 or a hand to call with there. And gets it done. So we had somebody ask to put the payouts here. I'm going to put those up real quick. Final 3. Next man out gets $47,380, followed by our second place prize of $68,900, and then first place, what they're all fighting for up there, that big prize, $100,570.
1.1 million. 1.1 is the total bet.
Like 10, 11, 10 point something.
Trong also opting for a larger open size than sort of 2x or slightly over. This nearly free. And he is going to get raised.
How quickly do we hear all in?
Yeah, Trung usually doesn't take his time too long in these pre-flop spots, so I think pretty quick here. He will give it a minute to set in, though, that he's really got a decision to make. Of course he doesn't, but...
There it is. Snap fold.
And Trung gets a little separation here, nearly 15 million. Back hanging out at 10, and Kansas, who had peaked up at 30 plus, has dwindled down substantially. Playing field evening out a little bit here.
He is a cool cat indeed. His family will appreciate the kind words. He is one of the nicest guys in the room. But yeah, I couldn't rock those glasses. That's for damn sure. Props to Zach for not giving a crap and rocking them as he sees fits.
Strong here, very defendable hand from the big blind. And we will see a flop. 2.2 in the middle. Nothing there for the Jack 7, King 9. Overcard, betting lead, and backdoors.
$1.2 million.
Big size here from Zach. Interesting. And on the little tablet there, we can see that we've got a minute and a half left in this level. These players have not taken a break yet. I presume there will be one in the cards for them to use the restroom and whatnot, but just over a minute before we level up, presumably to 500K for the big blind.
Raise to 8. Your ante.
Yeah, just about 100 big blinds in play right now. With the level up, we'll go down to about 80 bigs in play. Definitely starts changing the dynamic as the average gets closer and closer to 20 big blinds. Looks like our final hand of the level will be played as a limp check between 5-4 and 8-4. High board. And indeed, we are going to have a break. Going to be a color-up break to get rid of the blue chips, or at least some of the blue chips. I think we are still going to have some in play, as I believe we'll be at 250, 500. But we'll find out here in a moment. As it stands, Kansas going to take a stab here. The 8-4 high, and Zachary check raise with the gut shot wheel draw.
Yeah, I like to play. Haven't seen a whole lot of this from him. And he picked the perfect time to do it. Nice hand there.
A short break for you guys. You guys are on a quick break. I'm going to trim down the 25Ks only. I'm going to leave all the rest.
Short break for these players. Again, this is what they're playing for when they come back. There were 1,500. Yeah, they're coming back in 7 minutes. So, okay, that's good news. It'll be a quick break, but 1,508 entries on this $500 buy-in tournament. We guaranteed a 500K prize pool. Ended up at $633,380. And third place is going to be $47,380, followed by $68,900 for second. And big prize up top that everybody's shooting for, $100,570. So we'll come back in just a few minutes with these players as they continue to battle it out three-handed for that big prize.
Yeah, good opportunity to go and sort of use the restroom and maybe chat with your buddies, right? I know we've got Harvey over there sweating the action for Zach. Probably got some tips for him as he will be starting the next level with 24 big blinds, so still decent depth. And as you see there on screen, of course, the Trailblazer Poker Tour coming up here at the end of January. Another great opportunity to kick off the new year for the rest of us that aren't at this final table.
Absolutely.
Big
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. I know the Trailblazer Tour started off down there in Austin, correct?
I thought I was going to be on. Okay.
Yeah, started off down here, then went to Spring, then over to Rio Grande Valley, now going up to Dallas.
Yeah, excited for this. It's going to be a great time for this event. I know the opening Austin event kind of had a lot of other stuff going on, but TCH always going to meet the guarantees when we put these guarantees out there. So nothing to sweat there. We won't have any shortcomings there. $1 million guarantee, a $400K guarantee, 20 events total between those two locations, so including some PLO and high roller events. So it's going to be a great end of the month of January. That's coming up in just 20 days, January 21st through the 3rd at both of those locations. And, of course, Aaron, you know, anytime there's big tournaments going on with big prizes, that means the cash games are going to swell up as well. So we should have a lot of action up here in Dallas at TCH.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll certainly be up there. Laura wants to know, does the winner get a cup trophy? Well, it is a trophy. I don't know exactly what it has on it. Have you seen the trophy, Eric?
They had it on the table, I think, before we started. It was a TCH logo trophy that we've given out before. It's a really cool trophy. It's got the TCH logo, the one you can see there on the table that's got the cutouts of all the suits, you know, the diamond, club, spade, heart, kind of cut out. I think it's like a black emblem of that logo. It sits on a trophy, and it'll have the name of this tournament on there.
Very cool.
Luis says, how long is the break? It should be just a few more minutes. I think 7 minutes is what they were given to go hit the bathroom and do that jazz. But yeah, thank y'all again for being really great in the chat. Of course, a lot of family members for all these players and friends. And then, of course, a lot of our regulars have been joining us that are on our stream. Of course, Aaron and I and our boy RJ Dupree always get to do a fun Tuesday night cash game stream, and then we do these tournaments on the weekends or when we have a big one like this during the week. So thank y'all for making this so fun for us. Any tournaments going on between now and the 21st, Aaron, that you're going to be partaking in? Just
you know, yeah, I think I'm hopping in the car and headed over to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Nice.
Bunch of tournaments out there.
Okay.
So.
What's going on in Biloxi? What kind of events are going on there?
It's like 3 1 mil guarantee tournaments, 500K mystery bounty. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. So.
Any big poker group hosting that, or is it just a Biloxi series they do every year?
You know, so I've never been out there before. I've heard people talk about, you know, tournaments there and poker and blah, 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 right? But I've never been. And so I don't know what to expect. As far as I understand, it's just like a homegrown little poker series or whatever for the casino there. And they're really trying to make a splash with this really big festival that they're putting on. So yeah, pretty excited to some folks here in the chat know what's up. And yeah, so gonna go give it a shot and see if I can't make a good run. It's back-to-back tournaments, so
heck yeah,
gonna be a lot of poker to be played.
One of my favorite dealers, Mr. Adam. What's going on, brother? Jumping in there.
I have yours, but his is just Leon.
Jeff Bro says it's an amazing event. He'll see you there in Mississippi.
Oh, very good. All right. Hope to see you at a final table. Or 2. Or 3 or 4.
And players should be coming back here shortly. And I do believe there's some stuff going on at our neighbors up in Oklahoma as well. I know there's some big tournament series coming up there as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's not like we had any shortage of poker series and tournaments and stuff in 2024, but as we are already seeing, the schedule here at the beginning of 2025 is more of the same, and I'm here for it because the more tournaments, the merrier for me.
Absolutely. Of course, if you're online players, of course, TCH has gotten involved in the online poker world with the Hijack Poker app. If you guys want to get in on that, there's a lot of daily free rolls, so you don't have to spend a single dollar on that. But if you want to get in, Hijack Poker, here, scan that QR code there. You can download the app, play in some cash games if you enjoy doing that. Cool promos going on as well. There's another one. There's another promo code there, the Match 20 code. Looks like that just ended, so we'll just throw that one in the trash. But yeah, I've goofed off a little bit on those free rolls. They're pretty fun.
You guys ready? The clock is running. So.
And we're going to get back to the action.
Well, they're here right now, so.
Just in time.
I guess.
Papa Castro, Harvey Castro, MD, jumping in, saying strong work. Mr. Zach, a steady horse, wins the race.
Yeah, back to the grind we go. 250, 500K with a 500K big blind ante. It's about 80 big blinds in play now.
Did he tell you it was 7-8? Huh? Did he tell you it was 7-8?
I didn't see that one. Is that what it was?
Or I guess maybe 90.
7 was a good
If my
hit.
math
And
is
then
right. We
7-8
got
was
45
just
million.
good.
Bang on 45 million. So 90 bigs in play.
200, and the next round is 255. No, it's 200, 500.
I got chips now, so I'm going
Race
to
to a
situate.
million. It's 255. The next round is 255.
Zach wasted no time on the button with a suited Jack 5. Going to go ahead and raise it up to $1 million.
Man, plug my mic, guys. Hold on 1 second.
Jack 7, one of those kind of weird hands where if you're in the big blind, it's an easy call. When you're in the small blind, it's kind of awkward, and you'd almost rather 3-bet it, but Kansas will make the call, giving Trung another opportunity to potentially squeeze, but he will just make the call, and we'll go 3 waves to our first flop after the break.
Oh, wow.
Checks. Check.
Something
what do you
for
think?
everybody. Check over to Harvey, who's going to continue. I think he said 9, but it looks like $1 million put out there.
All 3 players going to see a turn card. It's a pair of 7s now for Kansas to have the best hand.
Check. Check.
So we see just 5%, 9% equity here for Zach. Now shares that. Same gutter ball, needs an 8. Could hit another 5.
And wow, Zach here.
He wants this spot.
Yeah, just surmising that the pair of 5s is never good if we get to showdown. And this board is actually a little bit scary, right? Like, if you just have Queen 9 here, you're pretty likely to just ditch it. But getting called by both players on the flop and continuing to tell a story that you have a hand worthy of this kind of value is certainly interesting. Does block the Jack 8s of the world, right? I mean, it's a pretty good hand combo left to do it with.
Yeah. First hand back. We've got action. 10 million in the pot right now.
Yeah, Kansas here, though, with the combo draw. I mean, I think this has got to just be an all-in from him, but
it is. There it goes. Good call, Aaron. He is all in. And Zach with a little whoopsie.
Yeah, this one's a little bit tough. I mean, I like the heart and I like the hand combo to do it with. lot of players will just sort of slow down with the 5 there and be like, all right, I guess I'm no good. And then you lose to a queen 9 or something on the river, and you're like, okay, I guess I should have just kept betting. In any case, he's going to be left with 13 big blinds going into the big blind. So not super danger zone, but certainly not where he wanted to find himself right after the break.
Yeah, not at all. And boom, there Kansas. Now chipping back up to that 28 million mark that he's been at several times. Back to a commanding lead on hand number 78 there.
Yeah, I think high water mark for Kansas was 32 million at one point. So we're trying to get back into that territory. Trung here still on 21 bigs, so he now is a pretty big fan of how that last hand went down, as it gives him a little bit of cushion to just kind of stay out of the way and let a big clash occur between chip leader and the short stack, if that's the way it works out.
Raise 1.25.
And that clash may be happening as we speak, but no, ace into the muck here off of 12 big blinds.
Yeah, Zach in the small now, just about 10 big blinds left.
And a little bit of a weird spot here for Trung. I mean, suited ace is, yeah, like always good to open, but he's just in this waiting game now. Zach has kind of put himself into a challenging spot that he must dig out of in order to solidify himself back in the game. So Trung just kind of needs to bide his time. You won't see him folding ace-5 suited on the button in many other orientations.
Yeah, $21,000 pay jump between third and second place. So definitely some real money, real ICM implications here. Zach waking up with another ace here, this time on the button.
Yeah, and if you didn't want to rebet jam, it's certainly an easy jam here. And wow, Kansas here, king 10.
Same king 10.
And this is for 10 big blinds. I mean, I think Zach can definitely be jamming a pretty sizable portion of his range that is either dominated behind or flipping with the king 10.
Can I see your stack real quick?
I think we're gonna get a call here.
Those are 5 stacks of green? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of accounting, not just on Zach's all in, but also on Trung's stack. Wants to get all the information in, and that it is valuable information, right? Like if Trung is also short, then that will influence Zach's jamming range versus if he's a little bit deeper. Kansas going for the read here. Look at this stare down.
Yeah. Lifted the cards, never actually looked at them twice.
Never mind. King 10 into the
That
muck.
was a big fold. Seriously. Really? Yeah. Antsy. That was
Old Navy
literally
bro
snap.
getting a little camera time there.
Literally. Aces? Was that you or him that did that?
And we got a little comment here. Aaron, you can probably
was
explain this
terrible.
too. I mean, you know, the action man thinking that 10 big blinds with the ante is more like 5.
King 10.
Definitely not. It's still really 10 big blinds that you're working
No,
with.
that's why I pulled.
You're not really counting the ante every time when you've got a stack. But Aaron, you want to add to that on how to
Yeah,
look at
I
your
mean,
stack?
I understand the thought there, right? Like you're paying double, and so it feels like
All the marbles.
you're in a much worse situation than you really are. I don't know a good way to explain it, right? I mean, like, you know, in the moment, like when you have to pay double, that it's just really unfortunate for you. And especially because the ante just goes in as dead money, right? Like, you can win that money back, but it doesn't count as any of your bets. So
For sure.
especially when you start getting short and you're down to like 5 big blinds and then you go into the blind, well, 20% of your stack just disappeared as dead money into the middle. So that is certainly unfortunate. But yeah, you still just kind of have to take it as the number of big blinds that you have. Because I don't know. I mean,
You're only paying that extra when you're actually in that blind. You know, so when you're looking at your stack, you're like, hey, I can pick up another big blind or two from these players if I jam. So you know, it's just a different way to look at it. You know, the ante makes it seem like it's more than it really is, but you still, you know, kind of have that same stack to work with because your opponents are going to be looking at it like, oh wow, he's got 20 big blinds he just jammed with. You know, they're not going to be looking at it like, oh, that's really equal to 40 because it's just not.
Yeah, and there are different metrics, right? Like back in the day, there was a whole sort of metric system. I think Dan Carrington used it, or defined it as M, which is the ratio between your stack depth and the size of the pot before any action reflop. And so M had some relevance for a while. People don't really talk that much about it anymore. Yeah, I mean, there are different metrics by which you can talk about these things, but yeah,
there you go, M value.
You wouldn't change the concept of the number of big blinds that you have. So that's just what it is. Anyway,
nice min raise there from our short stack. Zach just putting in a min click with the queen 7 suited and gets it done. Didn't have to risk his whole stack and took down some blinds. And normally our streams have our cash streams have about a 15-minute delay. This has a little bit more. A nice play from our button there. Kansas going to take it down. And Jack
back
5.
up over 30 as well. That's a nice little psychological milestone to get back over. Of course, he may not be keeping that close to track, but you know, when you did get up over 30 and then watch that go right back down to 20, feels good to get back up there.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on these shorter stacks because even a double up, they still have work to do.
This is Trung on the button. And he's all in. He must have a very strong hand here. Pocket 9s or ace 9 suited. Running into the ace king of Zach, though.
It is time to dance.
Ooh, this could be the tournament. What do you count on Trung?
Wow, Kansas has king queen suited with the opportunity for a double knockout. Trung here, the big stack with 18 bigs. Zach all in for 11 big blinds.
Is the big bet.
And Trung does have the 9 of spades, so this is a pocket 9s versus ace king so far hand.
8,675,000.
And the king queen of hearts for Kansas. So 9s, ace king, and king queen. Big hands all around, 3-handed.
And while it is sort of nice to think about the double knockout, just end the tournament right now, there's real danger in committing your chips into this pot, right? Like, it's sort of a win-win for you if you fold, because either Zachary doubles up and now Trung is short with around 10 big blinds, and that dynamic hasn't changed. You're still just like miles out in front, get to apply pressure to the mid stack. And if Trung wins, cool, you're heads up with the chip lead. It's great. If you put your chips in here and don't win the pot, that's not good for you. That is really not good for you, because now, let's say that Trung wins that pot. He's going to have the chip lead, and you will go into heads up at a deficit. Obviously, still being heads up is great, but...
Call. All right, guys.
Wow,
wow, Kansas does it, though. Here we go. And yeah, it is the pocket nines for Trung. And he's in a very good spot to double up, eliminate Zach, and go into heads-up play with the chip lead. But he needs the nines to hold.
$23 million pot. Here we go.
And what an incredible flop this is.
Oh, my goodness.
Barry.
Zach needs a jack.
Trung needs a 9, and only a 9 doesn't come. And just like that, the tournament's over.
Wow.
That's like shit. Thank you for calling that shit.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
So
And
Trung
look at the
gets-
face on our winner as he is just shocked.
Yeah, it's just over. It's literally just over. So Trung gets second place, which is not a terrible result, right? Like, worst case is that the short stack doubles up, he gets knocked out by the chip leader, and whatever, right? Goes out third.
Well, there is your moment there for your winner. He is feeling good right now. All those emotions of a multi-day tournament. Jams all in there, and he's going to take home over $100,000. Put those prizes up real quick for our third and second place finishers. There we go.
Congrats, dude. Thank you, Trung.
So Troy, Harvey finished in third, correct? I mean Harvey. Zach, I keep saying that. Zach's going to kill me.
Zach finishes in third, yes, 47,380 for his third place finish. Congratulations on the deep run. Fantastic job laddering up all final table long, and just sort of running into a nasty spot there. Hitting the king, but not good enough. Then also Trung, another fantastic showing for Trung. He is an absolute beast, making deep runs in these local Texas tournaments left and right, with nearly $69,000 showing here this evening.
Yep. And wide-eyed, that's what you look like when you win $100,570 in a tournament that you traveled to come play in. Got all your family and friends rooting you on in the chat, and you get it done. Man, wow. You know, laid down those queens earlier and got quite a bit of hell from it, for it, but ends up still winning, you know. Gets it in there, not really good against the ace-king of Zach, but flops 2 pair and holds on and wins the entire tournament. There's our winner, Mr. Kansas. What a showing. And he's got that pile of chips over there, and the winning hand, King, Queen of Hearts, to show for it.
That's why it matters, Justin.
Yeah.
His name is Justin, not just Kansas, so shout out GG's to Mr. Justin there. You can see the emotions are kind of settling in a little bit. He is just ecstatic, and how can you not be winning $100,000 to start the new year? And they're going to pull out the trophy here, the New Year's Bang trophy with the logo. He's going to get his hands on it. It's a nice heavy piece there, and something for the mantle for Justin there to take home along with his $100,000 win today. So Donovan, our tournament director, is there. Great job from our dealer, Johnny Rodriguez. Going to get a picture holding up the trophy. What a moment. Good stuff.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, really great showing there. And yeah, the emotion there for the winner, Justin. I mean, it's a big payday, and you could tell also just like the way that things went his way here tonight. Like, it just all of a sudden it became real. He was just kind of in the moment all the way up until that final hand, and then it just really dawned on him, like, I won this tournament. It's over. And yeah, it's a pretty incredible feeling. And
yeah, incredible feeling. And again, what a tournament that we put on here at Texas Card House Dallas. The New Year Bang, you know, we guaranteed $500,000, and we crushed that. $633,380 was the prize pool. 1,508 entries. 2 of those were mine. Damn it! But $500 buy-in, and a lot of people happy. I mean, look at that. 9th place got a 5-figure score, and everybody just big pay jumps all the way up to that huge prize that Justin just took down. And man, you can just tell that he is, his phone has got to be blowing up right now, Aaron. Just everybody just congratulating him. So many people in the chat. Like I said, I've never seen so many Kansas people in the chat in my life, and they were all here, and they were all friendly and cheering on their friends. So what a great showing. Another tournament crusher, Christian E. They're saying an absolute clinic by Justin, well deserved. Really thought he played well. There's always going to be that one hand that people might think you should have played one way or the other, but at the end of the day, this man ran pure and played good. Got some nice bluffs through. I mean, he did a little bit of everything, Aaron.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun to watch. I would say that all of the players that came in really showed us, how to play at a final table. And yeah, there was no shortage of action, no shortage of big plays in big spots. That was absolutely amazing. And I did just want to answer this question, Code HDN, how does second and third get figured out? You're absolutely right. It's by chips at the start of the hand. So whoever loses but had the most chips will get the higher payout and a higher place finish. So of course that's why Trunk got second place on that one. All right, well, that's going to do it here for us at TCH Live. I'm Aaron McAvoy for Eric Van Loozen, the rest of the staff here at Texas Card House. We invite you to come and join us for the Trailblazer Tour coming to the Dallas location, January 21st through February 3rd. Let us do the commentary here for you guys.
Come take some of that man's money right there in the yellow hoodie. Aaron McAvoy, bring it on. And maybe you'll see this ugly face too. You'll see me in the room for sure. I'll probably fire at some of those tournaments. But thank you guys and gals again for joining us today for this fine tournament. And we hope to see all your faces at the one Aaron was just talking about, this big Trailblazer Poker Tour. You'll get a shot to take some of Mr. Aaron Money McAvoy's chips and some of mine as well.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Good night.
All right. Peace.